Here's one.
Come and knock.
I just want to shake some sense into you kids.
Hello, welcome to Pissed Off Gen-Xers.
Preferably holding them around the neck.
Yes. So
The whole
we went live early because we're talking about George Romero.
What
do you do this time?
Oh, God. Well, he's dead, so, there's that.
Yeah.
Well, Romero made his movies, and he claimed after the critics were all like, oh, it's a testament to man's inhumanity to man. And he's like, yes, it was. And I'm pretty convinced he had no fucking clue. When he made Dawn of the Dead, I don't think he was doing man's inhumanity to man. I don't think he was doing consumerism. I think he's like me and fell ass backwards into it. Because his fucking social political commentary became so goddamn retarded that at the end of Land of the Dead, there's an intelligent zombie capable of leading other zombies as an army, and they go, oh, we should let them go. They're just folks like us. No, fuck you. Kill that fucker.
Mm-hmm.
And
they eat people.
Yeah, they eat people. You just watch them eat hundreds of innocent people. Oh, they're just folks looking for a place like us. No, fuck you. Open up with the chain gun.
Well, if that movie was supposed to be a commentary on Trump's wall and illegal immigrants,
it was way too early. It was too early for that. It was way too early for that. No, well, you're right. It was a comment on immigration, but basically that, oh, they're just like us. No, they're not.
I think it was on immigration and homeless.
And then he did I don't know, filming of the Living Dead or some shit, which was some guy making a movie. And I guess the whole moral of the story is life imitates art. Oh God, that movie was so dumb. And then there was the one after that I don't even remember. And there's the dumb one with the horse. And he died after that. And I was like, oh my God, your movies just suck more and more and more. And it convinced me that all of that the first movies were accidents. That he just set out to make cool zombie movies. Because I remember when the original scripts leaked, and I'm telling you, the original scripts were a fuck ton different.
Really?
I mean, yeah. Oh yeah. And let's see, Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead was supposed to finish with the black dude dying and the chick standing up into the rotor blades. That's how that was supposed to end. And they changed it because they thought it'd be too depressing. And then Day of the Dead was supposed to be completely different. It was supposed to have a lot of rich people down there enjoy. Day of the Dead is what Land of the Dead tried to be. What he wanted Day of the Dead to be was what Land of the Dead tried to be, where the rich were basically he was ripping off Mask of the Red Death, the short story. And that might have been interesting. But of course, they went with, I like Day of the Dead. I actually do. I like Day of the Dead. I think it's really interesting. But I don't think it had all the meaning that he later put in it. That I think he waited till to see what the critics say, because the critics thought he was some auteur. Because he was never able to recapture that. Land of the Dead just, if it wasn't for the star power in it, it probably would have passed as unnoticed as his other three movies. As the other three movies that later came out. Most people don't even know he released anything after Land of the Dead.
Now, just to bring it up, the reason this came up off the air, we were talking about the Reddit group, Humanity Fuck Yeah. And that it is such a departure because all these idiots right now are writing this self-loathing, depressing, nihilist.
Humanity is the real monster. Humanity is the real monster. And Left 4 Dead 2 poked fun at that because you're in one of the safe rooms. It was Left 4 Dead. You look at the wall and it says humanity is the real monster, and the comments underneath it are like, "Are you high? Are you stupid? No, it's the zombies, dumbass." Or I hope a zombie eats you. Because it's gotten ridiculous. I'm watching an Aliens movie and they're talking about how humanity is the real monsters. No, it's the aliens. Sure, Burke was a dick because, like she says, you don't see the aliens fucking each other over for a profit. She's referring to Burke specifically, not,
right.
She's telling Burke, you're no better, you're worse than they are, and they want to eat us. And they've taken that since then. And, humanity is terrible. Humanity is bad. They deny the nobility man is capable of. And see, you know why? You want to know why the liberals do that? So that you don't try to aspire to be better. So that you don't try to be better. Communism and progressivism and liberalism, they don't want heroes. No, they want to be a hero for tweeting or fucking slacktivism. They don't want you to have heroes. Like I said in another one, Chuck could defeat the mole men who were planning on blowing from Venus, who were trying to blow up the fucking planet. And 10 minutes after he succeeds,
he could solve
comes out.
cancer.
Yeah, and
he
he'll
could
come
literally
out.
cure cancer. And they would the next minute say it doesn't matter, he's a Nazi.
It doesn't matter because when he was 9, he drew a dick on a car. That's I noticed it's in the 70s and in the 80s. They tore down every fucking hero you could have. I mean, it's like the old joke. This guy's in an elevator and is telling another guy, he goes, I've donated hundreds of millions of dollars to charity. Am I known as Bob the philanthropist? No. I've built great buildings. Am I known as Bob the architect? No. I've engineered dams and everything. Am I known as Bob the engineer? No. But you suck one fucking dick. That's exactly what progressivism does. It strips away everything good you've ever done and said, no, you are a bad person because I found one thing. And that's what this humanity is monsters thing. And it does that about
the human race, though. It
yes.
literally applies that to the entire human race because it's stupid. Because, it's like, so if you're having a bad day, you should just give up. I mean, that's literally, I guess that's what they think. If you're having a bad day, if you ever fall prey to your instincts or your primal, whatever, then you're just evil.
And you must repent for the rest of your life. And usually repenting by giving them money or giving them your effort. Yeah, it always comes down to your money and your effort and your property.
Yep.
Anita Sarkeesian. Video games are horrible, sexist, evil, violent. Give me money.
Give me money. Give me money. That's like she famously said that Batman used strategic butt covering with the cape so that you couldn't see Batman's ass. That tells me she never played the game because you see Batman's ass so much, you're like, for fuck's sake, Bruce, why do you have an ass like that?
And honestly, even if Batman's ass was covered, Nightwing more than made up for it.
Oh my God, Nightwing's costume was like, I feel uncomfortable and need an adult. And why is one of your
time Nightwing looked like something from Chippendales? Like he had the hair from his chest showing, and then his perfect ass.
And then you do that attack sequence, and he twirl around on the staff, and you're like, dude, we're fighting bad guys. Get off the pole. Yep. Holy fuck, Nightwing. It's like, God damn, what is your next fucking move? You're gonna do the flying butt flyers?
But he's like supposed to be with Starfire or whatever, and in 2 or 3 of the Starfire or the what is it, Young Justice or whatever.
I never watched that.
They have them basically sexting each other.
I mean, holy shit! In video games, Nightwing's ass. They take more times modeling Nightwing's ass than they do the skyline.
Yeah.
But then it's like, give me money, and let me tell you how to make your game. And what was her favorite game? Some piece of shit pixel art game. And you know what pisses me off about pixel art games nowadays? They're fucking lazy. Okay, back in the day,
seminar years ago where she flat out admitted it. She flat out said, "I don't care about video games. It's a vehicle for my politics."
Yeah, and pixel art games nowadays are so fucking lazy. Back in the day, pixel games were fucking gorgeous. When pixels were all we fucking had, they were goddamn gorgeous. The scenery, everything. Nowadays, it's blocky pieces of shit. And it's because it's a pixel game. No, it's because you're a lazy fuck.
Well, it's just like anything else. It's because in most of this art, they're just becoming incredibly mediocre. It's like what the the WGA or whatever, the Writers Guild,
Yeah.
that just went on strike with the actors, and it's like, who cares?
Oh, I only got $300 for my residual check for
I
She-Hulk.
love how they forget
She-Hulk.
to add that to be paid at all, you're paid by week. The minimum pay by week is like $5,800.
Yeah. No, but that's the residual check, and he
That's
got
what
his
I'm saying.
residual check.
That's like they actually got at least $6,000
Well,
for that.
here's why they're pissed off
piece
about the
of crap.
residuals. Frankly, I think they got what they paid for. I don't think if someone got paid, actually, those residuals should be even less considering how bad She-Hulk was. But the reason they care about residuals is in Hollywood, you're all pretty much contractors. There is no retirement plan if you're a writer.
It's a gig economy. They
big fucking shocker.
Changed their like work structure a couple of years ago, so the gig economy could get insurance and crap.
Yeah.
Well, and these are the people who replaced the writers who were on strike last time and are now blacklisted. And did you see that guy? That guy showed a picture of himself on his cell phone. He looks like he's tweeting to Batman where he put a bomb. Okay?
Dude,
the guy,
he looks like a cosplay for a pencil troll.
I mean, I was like, what the fuck is that? And they're like, oh, I only got $300. You know what I got for my residuals? Nothing. Because I didn't work on it. And it's like, look, I'm sorry that you thought you'd get on She-Hulk and get thousands of dollars, but your show was so shitty that they literally took it off the air.
Yeah. Like, where's he even getting residuals from? Like 5 people and his mom watching it on Disney Plus?
I don't even know if it's on Disney Plus anymore. I think they yanked it. I know there's been a couple shows so bad they fucking yanked them.
I mean, it's such a horrible. I watched the first episode and I'm like, I'm out.
I mean, I write, and I've learned something. You're only as good as your last book. I mean, if you stop writing, you stop earning money. You can watch it literally get smaller and smaller as time goes by. So you better release your next book, and it better be good.
There's a threshold, because there's guys like, what is it, Rothfuss, right? And that other dude, the guy that Martin, that hasn't written a book in 12 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're above the threshold, And
that's what I'm saying. There's like a threshold that like
they get massive residuals. They get massive residuals, but this guy's bitching
basically
because
once you're out of the public eye, and like if
you're
just like if you have a small public eye because that's your audience, once you're out of it, like people are holy. You know what I mean? They're porous.
If you have a small public eye and it blinks, you're not making your electric bill.
Yeah. And that's what happens is, these people are really, they're there. They're not any higher than that, but they think they are because they're in Hollywood.
And they think they're all fucking geniuses. And She-Hulk was so fucking bad, I couldn't even watch it. I mean, I got to the part where they're showing you what the season's going to be about, and I'm watching this, I'm like, done. Because what?
I gave it the first episode, and I was just like, and most of that was because I was drinking a beer. And
if I have to hear one more time how good women are at controlling their anger.
Oh.
Okay. Well, quickly before we continue on this path, speaking about residuals and falling out of the public eye and your next book and all that, I've just got to remind everyone that Boobs of Steel, Busty Heroines, and the Culture War Decoding the Amazon is available right now. And the print edition will be out extremely soon.
Yes.
And it's more than just about boobs. It will change your life. It'll help you if you're a writer. It'll help you if you're not a writer.
You can even feel it up.
Yes.
What he's saying is Boobs of Steel is an existential experience that will forever change your being.
Yes, it is.
So you should buy it now so that your life
I will say that
fulfilled.
if you want... Actually, I will say this much. If you want a crash course on the 80s and 80s film and media, Japan and anime, and Jungian symbolism, you want a crash course on understanding archetypes, this book will teach you it without you realizing you're being taught a lesson in archetypes. Seriously, because it's really what it's about. So order it, damn it. Link in the description. Or
hey.
And while we're at it,
Yeah.
Oh, I heard about that. Raymond?
What?
Where the lady got arrested and imprisoned for screaming in public. They were like,
Yes.
she was shouting like like certain women of a certain variety do.
Well, no.
And
She was shouting like a woman who was told no. Like a
yes,
Western woman who was told
but
no.
there has been a specific variety of women that
Right.
have literally
And-
been kicked out of indigenous countries because they're a
But
pain in the ass.
she did this in Dubai. Now, I don't know. Many of you probably have not been to the Middle East, but and I was there 30 years ago. When I was there 30 years ago, a woman spoke to a man, and she's probably getting beat. And she went off, and see, their insurance is different. If you get insurance on the car and there's damage to the car, you still have to pay them a certain amount. You basically have to pay them their oh goddamn, what you have to pay before they'll fix anything. But you basically got to pay them money.
Deductible.
Yeah, you got to pay her their deductible. And she was in the car. The car got wrecked, and she left her ID, her passport. There was her big mistake. I don't give a fuck if you're bleeding to death in the gutter. You hold on to your passport, because if you lose that, you're just fucked. And she went in there, and they said, "Give me money." The guy said, "Give me money," and she, like a woman who was told no, lost her fucking mind. Not all women are like this, but you know the type that if you tell them no, the next thing you know, they are screaming and throwing shit. And she got arrested for raising her voice in public. Now, in Dubai, if you're a woman, number one, I want to know why you went to Dubai, because the majority of reason Western women go to Dubai is to be shit on by oil sheiks.
I knew you were going to say that. Instagram girls, yeah.
She was a yacht girl. She has pictures of herself on yachts, and she has pictures of herself, basically she was if you look, she's always showing herself behind the wheel of semis, but she never drives them. And that is a well-known cover for, these oil sheiks to bring in Western women. So right there, it's not like she's your average tourist, and the Dubai authorities know what's going on. So she raises her voice and starts yelling, and she's arrested, because women aren't allowed to raise their voices, and they're not allowed to raise their voice at a man. I mean, thinking you could go to a Middle Eastern country as a woman and raise your voice to a man, it's not going to work out the way you think.
No.
And so she got thrown in jail. And of course, her family is like, she didn't do anything. Well, number one, she broke social taboos, she broke custom taboos, and she acted like an ugly American. Okay,
Let's
that's an actual thing.
Dubai is rich ragland. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you are, if you're cussing out, like, especially like, a rich like oil magnate or something, you know what I mean? You're gonna get screwed.
No, she cussed out a service worker. Now, here's the thing. Service workers are treated a lot differently if they're native to Dubai. She was not chewing out some guy that they smuggled across the desert and has a shock collar on. No, he was chewing out a Dubai citizen. And on the totem pole, she's a tourist. She's lower than him. She's a woman. She's lower than him.
Yeah.
And yes, being black does matter, because, you think we're racist in the States? In Dubai, they buy and sell you in the parking lot of Walmart. Okay, that is the truth. You are bought and sold in Dubai. And so she acts like this. Of course, the police arrest her.
Yeah.
Of course they do. She's being loud in public. She's a woman being loud in public. And, of course, the State Department will more than likely intervene and say, can you give her back to us, and not, whip her or, split her tongue. And they'll say, well, give us $100 million. But see, you raised your voice and started shrieking like a harpy at a man in a Middle Eastern country. The police of rights and virtue in Saudi Arabia that they used to have,
she figured, she was going to jump
face
on the table and scream at them and throw, sauce packets, and it would be okay.
And that she wouldn't get in trouble. But no, that doesn't work like that over there. And so that's, I mean,
they don't have slave guilt.
No,
they buried them in the millions.
As a man, I would be polite to workers in a Middle Eastern country, because I don't want to break any taboos.
I would be polite to people just because I'm a polite person. There's no reason
same here.
To be rude,
Same here. I mean, I'm a guest in their country. I'm expected to be polite. And that's the big thing, is they really believe in that. I mean, did I act like an asshole when I was there? Well, yeah, because my official job title had a subheading of asshole.
I mean, like, it's like Tuweldi was saying, like, it's the liberal, like, arm of the Arabs of the Middle East, but
Mhm.
it's still the Middle East.
Oh, the most liberal arm of the Middle East makes, I don't know, 1880s fucking Texas look goddamn downright like a free-for-all orgy.
Yeah, that's what the people don't understand. This is basically like being 200 years in the past as far as, like, honorifics and tradition goes.
That's why everybody's surprised that they try to teach the Muslims LGBT stuff, and the Muslims went, no. And now they're trying to guilt them. Well, we were on your side. And the Muslims are like, we don't care.
Well, that's a big thing in England now.
That was yesterday.
Muslims have basically taken England over, and now they're like F you to the LGBT in the schools.
Yeah.
These fuckheads had this weird idea that Muslims would love the left. And
we protected you from Bush. And, to use a Janet Jackson song, what have you done for me lately?
Well, it's like, the Democrats keep thinking that the Spanish, or the Mexican are going to like them. And it's like, you realize they're Catholic, right?
And, oh, fuck. I mean, here I wasn't going to talk politics tonight.
It's embroiled within everything. So
see, this is what pisses me off. It's embroiled in everything. Zombies. I love zombie movies. I mean, I even like some of the real shitty ones. But they're going to make a Return of the Living Dead expanded universe, and they're going to do a reboot for Return of the Living Dead.
Why?
Return of the Living Dead was an okay comedy series that fit at the time. I mean, nowadays, one thing that they forget is those zombies were indestructible. You literally couldn't kill them. You could cut off the head, and the head could still command the body to come after you. The arm would crawl after you. They could talk.
You had to burn them into atoms.
Yep. What cat?
I said it sounds like Herbert West.
Yeah. It's basically the zombies can talk, more. They're the ones that were like brains and oral sex, brains, and they want to reboot it. And it's like, why? I mean, it wasn't even that great of a property when it came out.
What was that, like, YA zombie movie? Like Warm Bodies or something?
That one was interesting.
I had an interesting idea where they eat your brains and then they get the memory and they sort of they sort of become human,
They're kind of wasted. They're kind of he's kind of zoned out, like he's on heroin.
Yeah.
But if you go too long, you turn into one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like sort of like the wasted of us, which is sort of funny because it's I don't know, it's almost the opposite of the sort of political subtext of that they want to infuse originally, right?
Yeah.
So, but it was but I still thought it was kind of weird. I'm like, wait, that dude just ate your boyfriend's brain.
Yeah,
You would have boned him, okay?
It's like, okay, lady. There's some zombie movies I mean, I tried to watch Redneck Zombies from Hell, and I watched it for like 20 minutes and turned it off. So I was like, oh God, this is dumb.
What was that one from? Was it Simon Pegg with that guy?
Oh, yeah. That was shit. I love that movie. Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, there you go. Like that was pretty good. Like he chains his best friend because he doesn't have the heart to kill him.
So that one was fun. And I've always, that's like The Walking Dead, where The Walking Dead made the big mistake is it became too much politic bullshit, and we wanted killing zombies. They spent more time killing human beings in the last three or four seasons.
I mean, that's honestly zombies. Like so many things. Like you look at Witcher, right? And Witcher's become about the female empowerment and all this crap. And I'm like, dude, I just want to see I wanted to see Henry Cavill looking badass and cutting the hell out of some monsters.
Well, what they did was as soon as they got these new writers in, they're like, oh, we don't care about the source material. We're going to use it for a vehicle for our politics and our message.
The same thing that all these people do. What do they always say? What is it? What is it? It's adapted for modern audiences.
Yeah, and I'm going to take I'm going to take something you like. I'm going to skin it and wear its skin suit, and I'm going to dance, and you give me money. Well, I don't want to watch you dance, especially wearing something else with skin. That's really weird.
And then they're all like, why are you so upset? I'm wearing the face of the thing you like, and you know,
He's
absolutely making a complete travesty of it.
The He-Man series was a perfect example. Fat Boy went up there and completely ruined it. If they would have, you know what? If they would have been honest with me, and had like, if they would have named it after Tila, I would have watched it. I would have been fine with it. If they named it after Tila, I would have been fine. But no, by all the fucking ads and all the trailers, it looked like you'd see He-Man whooping ass. Right?
Yeah.
But
and then as soon as they got it out, what was it? It was like Skeletor wanting to bone Evil, what's your face?
It was Tila, Evil Lynn, that stupid fucking weirdo magic girl, Orko's sister, who's better than him than anyway, and whatever other woman they could, whatever other woman they could scrape up out of the bottom of the barrel, because all of them were, and you know what? It had the ultimate line. It had the ultimate fucking line. Prince Adam goes, "I died," and Tila goes, "Yeah, and you left the rest of us to live with it." Oh, I died, and it's all about you.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
Holy, okay, wait. Catch me up, guys. Sorry, like I said, I'm 10 minutes late. So what the fuck happened?
He-Man dies, woman most affected.
Oh, yeah, you talking about that stupid Tila shit where she becomes the new He-Man? Thanks, Kevin Smith, you fucking castrated piece of shit. Sorry.
You know, they take your favorite properties and they skin it, wear the suit, and then if you complain, they go, "Well, maybe it's not for you." And then they turn around and go, "Why didn't you support us?" Well, you said it wasn't for me.
Like, I don't know what happened to Kevin Smith. I seriously think that all his testosterone left him when he lost his weight. And I don't think he had that much to begin with. So, you know.
Oh, no, it was his wife. It was his girlfriend. He interviewed her once. Then they slept together and she conveniently got pregnant. And then they got married. No joke. Like 6 months into them dating, she got pregnant.
You know, that reminds me of, is honestly like Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman got with the Dresden doll girl.
Yeah.
You know, and then Amanda Palmer, and then wasn't 3 years, and all of a sudden, he was like, he flipped the script. Like, he used to say stuff like, I remember he was at a convention, and he was famously known for saying that the characters as the people have seen them is the way you want to keep them, because that's how they love them, that's how they know them. They're like family. And then what did he do when he got his he got his movie and fuck you money, or his show for Sandman and fuck you money? Changed everybody.
So when Kevin Smith met Jennifer Schwalbach, his wife, she's called Jennifer Schwalbach Smith. She's a feminist. She's on all of his shows. She's in his movies. Everybody thought that he had met this really hot chick because he kept talking about his girlfriend was really hot and had huge tits. Go look up Jennifer Schwalbach.
Oh, thanks.
Kevin Smith?
Yeah, Kevin Smith and Jennifer Schwalbach. That's his wife. And you'll understand now why Harley Quinn Smith, I'm sorry, is not good looking.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Tell me that woman did not see dollar signs and a desperate man when she interviewed him and got knocked up within like 6 months of dating him.
Yeah.
Yeah. She took a man with low self-esteem, got pregnant, and that's their wedding at Skywalker Ranch.
That's depressing.
Yeah, and he kept, like, when he was talking at San Diego Comic-Con about her, talking about how hot she was, he was so happy he finally got a hot woman to love him. And then you saw her in real life, like, no, she's not hot. She tricked you, bro. But she emasculated his ass. Like, that's when he got all, like, whiny and cryy. And then after he almost died, his daughter turned him into a fucking vegan.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
and like Neil Gaiman's defense, Amanda Palmer's got a great body.
No, she is the reason I think Kevin Smith. Sorry guys, I'm eating. I haven't eaten for a while. Yeah, she's the reason, in my opinion, that he sucks. I mean, when he did the He-Man shit, he went after Clownfish TV because they called him out because somebody leaked the script to them. And he tried to use all his Hollywood power to take down a small channel because he knew he was caught. And he flat out lied and said, no, this isn't the script.
And then when it came out, it was exactly like they said it. I remember that.
And then he said, oh, no, there were some small changes, so it's not exactly the same. Fuck you, ma'am. Get your balls out of your wife's purse, please.
And if he'd been honest, here's the thing that gets me. I like He-Man. I mean, I'm a teenager when it came out. It's kind of cool. I would have watched it if they would have been like, called it, the I don't know, the Tila Unchained or something cool like that. And if I would have known it was, He-Man gets killed and Tila has to step up to keep eternity safe.
I would have been okay with that if they wouldn't have
I'd have been okay if they didn't emasculate him.
Yeah,
I think it would have been even better if she went on a revenge story campaign.
Yeah,
Tila killing it, going after Skeletor and shit.
But that whole line.
Didn't Skeletor start banging Evelyn in the new series too?
Yeah,
I don't know.
then Evelyn gets like the sword of power and becomes God, and so she's going to destroy the universe because of reasons. And then Tila gets the same amount of power, and they find out that they really can be friends. And
see, I hate this shit. You know what? I hate this shit about modern women writers. It's all solved through the power of friendship.
No,
through our shared womanhood. I've known women. Women hate each other.
Dude, that's what what's his fuck? Jason Aaron did in the Mighty Thor. In the first issue, Titania knocks out I think she's dating
Absorbing Man.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
Because
they're
we're women.
literally using like feminist dialect against him. And it's the stupidest thing.
I'm going to go to jail because my boyfriend is a misogynist and I need to be in solidarity with you. Not the Titania we all remember who would just fucking go after her anyway. No. What kind of fucking supervillain female willingly turns herself in because feminism? Are you fucking retarded?
Yeah, it's
because Absorbing Man is like, he's like, you're just a... he's like, basically, you're just a girl you can't hit. What kind of girl are you or something? And she's like, well, one like this. And then she hits him in the mouth. And it's just like the dumbest thing.
And then let's not forget when they go and find Odin's father, that little bit of unsolicited opinions about Israel. It's like, oh my fucking God.
What?
Do you think a god of the Norse would give a fuck about what's going on in Israel?
It was, it just had it just had blocks. It just had black blocks with letters in it that set up stupid misogynistic bullshit and then unsolicited opinions about Israel and more misogynistic shit. And it's like, what's funny is they try, the Red Skull comes out and gives all these talking points. And so many people were like, why does the Red Skull sound reasonable?
Yeah.
And then you find out he was based on Donald Trump.
Yeah.
No, Jordan Peterson.
No, Jordan B. Peterson, sorry.
It's like, oh, all the agro corps and the food companies are poisoning you and making your kids fat, and they've taken away your jobs and not giving them to anybody. They just ship them overseas, and what you do get paid for, you get paid for nothing, and you're unhappy and you don't know why. I can tell you why. He didn't even say it was the Jews. He just said it's your elected leaders no longer work for you. They work for shadowy interest groups, and it's like,
where's the lie?
I was waiting for the stinger. I was waiting for that join the Nazi party. But no, it doesn't even have that. It just has him talking. And it's like, okay.
The left, that is Nazi now.
If they would have had something in there, like, he's saying all this so that what he's leading to sounds reasonable, and if you join the Nazi party, then we'll protect you. Then I could have been like, okay, I can see what he's doing. Because the best propaganda mixes 3 or 4 parts truth, 1 or 2 part lie.
Yeah.
That's the best.
That's, I don't know. They do, as you were saying, that's because they consider that Nazism. They consider if you disagree with them, that's Nazism.
Yes.
If you have committed violence against them, that means you disagree with them. If you hate them, that means you disagree with them.
Holding down a job and trying to raise your kids to follow the laws is Nazism now.
Yeah.
Have you seen if you work out or eat sensibly, you are a Nazi. You are far right.
It's like, wait, what? Well, that's like this guy that wrote this big article about how Cuties is based on not Cuties, but Sound of Freedom is based on QAnon, and it's all a big conspiracy theory. And there's no big child porn ring, and there's no big child sex trafficking ring. Did you see what happened today? They found 2.2 terabytes of fucking child porn on his hard drives.
Wow.
Including kids that were on the FBI's high risk.
Is this Noah Burlesky?
I think it might have been.
I know there's one guy that's going hard after them.
Is that the dumb fuck that also said that the movie infringed on trans rights?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked like a pedo when I saw him. Oh my God.
Did you see what he said? He said that, most minor attracted people don't ever do anything. And it's just cheap villainization of a sexual preference.
Wanting to fuck children is not a sexual preference. It's a mental illness, and you should be locked away.
Well, I
Sorry.
wish that I wish that they would try. I'm gonna say something really fucking weird, but hear me out the whole way. I wish that they would take and examine these people with PET scans and psychology and everything else to see where the wiring got broken, so that maybe they can fix them.
I mean,
maybe so they can repair them.
They have done
But
that. They're looking into the correlation between something called XY histocompatibility antigens and different.
No, I don't believe that.
Oh my god! Wait, Fair Maiden White. Oh my god! I haven't seen her in forever. Holy shit! I've missed you.
But I would like them to find out. I would love them to find out what causes it, because But the problem is, as soon as you start researching it, it gets poisoned. They put in too much political bullshit, and they fucking hide anything that doesn't correspond to the message. And I would love.
I think the problem is that it is volatile, because if you say it is a condition, right, and it is not their fault, because I don't agree with Sam Harris that we should absolve people because their brain was screwed up. No, I don't think you can do that.
Sam Harris is a huge hypocrite.
If somebody's brain is screwed up, I'm sorry, but you still have to be removed from society.
Yeah, like I was saying, I don't think it absolves you from that situation. That's what I was going to say. Is look, if you want to keep them alive, put them on the same island.
But we need to find. I'd like it if they found out what caused it, so we know what the cause is. What happened. Is it parental alienation like they thought in the 70s? Is it because that was a big theory in the 70s, was divorces were causing it. And of course that got buried. They were saying that the lack of a father figure. One thing they
haven't really done is try to break one down through, the CRISPR, the CRISPR technology, the actual genome sequencing, and look at people's, actual.
I don't think it's in the genes. I don't think it's in the genes. I really don't. I don't think it's in the genes.
You think it's developmental then?
I think it's developmental. I think it happens during development. Because their sexual attraction always freezes at a certain, that there's certain points that it freezes at. And I thought that I took a college sexuality class, and there was a whole chapter on it. And it was interesting, but it felt like the chapter was incomplete. Like it was missing stuff. And I asked the teacher, and they're like, not that much is known about it. They don't. And I was like, oh, okay. But that was the same class where this girl stood up and talked for 20 minutes about how the fact that she was sexually attracted to her 12-year-old brother wasn't disgusting. It was actually familial love. And so I picked up my stuff and moved to the other side. I picked up my stuff and moved to the other side of the room. But what got me was all these stupid fucking hippie bitches applauding, which she's like, well, my brother is a sexual creature because everybody knows that boys mature sexually differently. And they're all like, yeah, they do. And I'm thinking,
what does that have to do with being a sexual creature?
I was like, that's how boys get molested, and nobody gives a shit.
Mm-hmm.
What startled me was just how little these fucking people cared about the fact that she's talking about the fact that she had sex with her brother for 3 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
God.
No, she was a brave and stunning hero. And it's like, and I actually said after class, I said, you molested him. No, it was love. You molested your brother. You were 18 when you started doing it.
I mean, that's
you just wouldn't understand.
Was it the pedophile from the Kyle Ritter? Was it Kyle Ritter, right? That he shot first?
No, Kyle Rittenhouse, yeah.
Kyle Rittenhouse, yeah. And he shot the guy not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 5.
5 little boys.
Yes.
5. And they want me to feel sorry for that guy.
He's a misunderstood hero, buddy.
It's interesting.
Ruined those 5 kids' lives.
It's interesting that out of the 3 people he shot, 2 of them were sex offenders.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Shot randomly 3 people.
You shoot 3 random progressives and you hit 2 sex offenders.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. If you open fire into a crowd of Antifa, how many pedos are you going to hit?
All of them.
Well, wasn't the guy whose bicep he obliterated, wasn't he arrested twice for rape?
Yep.
Of adult women.
Yeah.
Domestic abuse. It was domestic abuse.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's the domestic abuser.
He wasn't a good guy.
But I love how he was never charged for a felon having a gun.
Yeah, he literally charged the kid with the gun. The kid was like in mid, like tumble and rise, and then he saw the gun and fired.
And they never brought up the fact that it was a felon with a concealed pistol.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, they did, and then everybody was like, well, it was just out of date. He got it, back before he went to court again, and it's like, I don't care. He was like they never covered the fact that every single one of those people were out later than they were supposed to be. The curfew was already on.
Yeah, that was really interesting because it showed us that it showed a lot of people that it doesn't matter. If they decide you're on the wrong side, you're on the wrong side. Like that kid with like those school kids, and the fucking Native American guy goes up there who's stolen valor, by the way. He was an air conditioning.
Oh yeah, and then,
fuck that guy. He went AWOL.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say that guy pissed me off because first he said he was a Vietnam veteran, and then when he got called out, oh no, I'm a Vietnam Times veteran, and then it turned out the motherfucker went AWOL.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a cowardly little bitch. He
got up in their faces in order to instigate. What got me is he did nothing but stand there, and you had fucking big time movie star, big time music stars and shit talking about wanting to punch a kid in the face. But when it came around that the kid didn't do anything wrong, they will still claim. Despite all the evidence.
Somebody from Disney, literally, it was like a Disney executive, said we should put them all in the wood chipper.
Yes, he said that all those kids should be put in a wood chipper, and he was not fired. None of them apologized. And then CNN and the Washington Post tried to defend themselves by saying, oh, when he automatically was on the phone, he's become a famous person, so we were allowed to lie about him.
Yes.
It was unfucking believable. And you know what? Nicholas Sandman, that's his name. His life is ruined. Even though we don't hear about him anymore, no colleges would accept him.
Nope.
No companies would accept him. His life is
That's why he won his fucking court case.
Yeah, he won millions of dollars. And you know what? I hope he fucking burns through it and parties and has the time of his life. And I hope Kyle Rittenhouse does the same damn thing.
I hate the press. I mean, because they pull that shit. Oh, we can lie about you because you're public because we made you public. You lying cocksuckers. I mean, they will literally lie to you as they're showing you the video. And it's like, that's not what the video showed.
It's like playing a game with a toddler.
Yeah.
The toddler's like, I win. Why? Because I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, have you noticed? I mean, this is something that's actually, in my opinion, kind of scary. I mean, this really does show that we are heading towards idiocracy. These people in the media, some of them are smart and know what they're doing. The most of them, like Taylor Lorenz, really do have the mindset of a toddler.
Taylor Lorenz knows what she's doing.
Stupid.
No, she knows what she's doing.
She knows exactly what she's doing, and she knows she's protected from on high.
Have you guys seen this? Because since we're talking about this anyway, this Portland surgeon talking about like puberty suppression and how he's removing genitals from kids, and he's got pink hair, right?
I don't
care about that. What I care about is the guy's literally aroused as he's talking about it. Look at his face if you find it.
I mean, I don't look at that stuff because I don't.
You don't want to get in the car and go shoot somebody?
I am old and have old opinions.
Speaking of aroused, did you see the video that came out from a woman's bathroom of a transgender woman wearing a tight mini skirt with a 5-alarm erection in the bathroom, and they couldn't kick him out? The man knew, he's a man, he's got a dick. He knew that it was arousing. He was standing there proudly with his dick sticking out, and women couldn't say anything about it.
Oh, look, that thing that never happened again.
Yeah.
And see, I didn't care when it was okay. I don't care when it's private. If you want to do whatever you want to do in your bedroom, that's fine. If you want to dress as a girl and walk around and you want to behave like a woman, if you want to behave
if you want to be an FBI director, fine. We don't care.
Yeah, I don't care if you want to behave as a woman. I mean, I've seen people who, go to the bar and they do their best to be a woman. And I'm fine with that. That's okay. I'm fine with that. But when you make me involuntarily participate in your fucking fetish, then I've got a problem. I don't like the guys that go to the bar. Some guy walks into the fucking bar and he's got on a leather fucking S&M harness and he's all sitting next to you all wiggling and moaning. Fuck you. Get away from me. I actually had that happen in a bar in Austin. I was like, get the fuck away from me. He's like, don't kink shame me. I said, I have brass knuckles in my pocket and I'll use them. He was literally getting off on being in public.
Is,
He was literally getting off in public because nobody wanted to say anything to him. I was like, get the fuck away from me.
There are schools where they are encouraging. I don't know if it's in America, but I remember seeing a video about it on Twitter, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, where are we going? Is that there are literally schools that encourage self-pleasing and even encourage you to do it in class.
Washington State and Oregon.
No, that's been happening here in the U.S. because parents
Yeah.
are flipping out now. Michael T. Brock Turner changed his name and was secretly able to get a position in one of his dad's friends' companies. The guy didn't learn a fucking thing. Of course, somebody found out that he changed his name and plastered his name and position.
Brock Turner?
Yeah, Brock Turner. I think he goes by like William Turner now or something.
Who's that?
Brock Turner?
Yeah.
He's the guy at can't remember. It was I think it was Berkeley. No, maybe I can't remember what school, but he was caught raping an unconscious girl behind a dumpster, and two Swedish exchange students found him, pulled him off of her, and the judge only gave him 6 months home probation, and his family complained because they were very wealthy and said that he's not the same anymore since he's gone to jail. He can't even eat his favorite steak. It was just a little accident. It was 20 minutes of a bad decision. Meanwhile, this girl's life is ruined.
See, and I hate this. I hate this that people think that if you are against one thing, you're for another, and that's not how it works. Okay, I could like to put a 45 in the back of that kid's head. I mean,
no, I think he should live with his dick shot off.
I agree.
Okay, we can do that. We can do a RoboCop on him.
That's what I think. You know what is it? The pain. That's what he should live with, the pain, but we include the penis. People are like, oh, well, what about the Catholic Church? It's like, well, I don't like that either, and I think that should have been handled with gunshots too. Yeah, they're like, well, what do you think about this then? I'm like, I don't like that either.
I'd be
perfectly fine if they all.
Then you must like this. No, I don't.
I get
the
so
internet's
sick
the only
and
place
tired
where you say,
of
I
people.
like apples, and people say you hate oranges.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I get sick and tired of people I know who are like, well, you're a Christian, so you obviously condone the pedophilia that the Catholic Church has done. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? The Catholic Church was evil all throughout the Middle Ages. Do you think I was down with that? No.
It's like, so you think I get behind gay men getting into positions of power over young children so they can abuse their power by sexually abusing young children? You think I support that just because he happens to read the same book I do?
Exactly. And I get
That's
fucking
not how
sick
this
of
works.
There was a documentary on Netflix. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was about a Catholic school. I want to say it was in Boston, where a nun found out that the priests were raping the girls and then sex slaving them out to the cops because the cops were in on it. And the nun went to go forward with the evidence and she disappeared. And all these girls were like, the one woman that was defending them disappeared. And it was this huge case.
People think you support that if you support X. No, I don't. I mean, I could perfectly honestly. That's like I got in a big argument with somebody because they had a video on Twitter recently about, oh, look how clever the Ukrainians are with their grenade dropping. And there's a wounded Russian soldier with no weapon and he's crawling. And the drone flies over him and drops a grenade on him. And they're like, oh, it didn't kill him. We'll have to come back and do it again. That is one of the biggest violations of the Geneva Convention you can do. And they're like, oh, well, if you don't support that, you support Russia. No, that's not how this works. If the guy didn't want that grenade dropped on him while he was wounded, he shouldn't have invaded Ukraine. That's not how this works either. It pisses me off because
they only care about rules when they help their side.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, Russia's done war crimes too. I don't like those either.
I don't like either side. Fuck.
Yeah, I want, like you've heard me here say it, I want both sides to lose. Because I'm sorry, that's a war crime. I mean, it's one of the basics of the Geneva Convention. If a soldier is wounded and can no longer be a combatant, you're not supposed to harm him. As a matter of fact, what the drone operator should have called in medics. But then we know what the Ukrainians do to wounded soldiers they capture. They torture them and kill them.
Remember
They
the
walk along
stories that you would hear about World War II, about like
Mhm.
in between the trench sort of barrages, you would hear stories about somebody being caught in the wire and the other side would come out and rescue them
Yeah.
and let them go back to,
Yeah,
to
it
like,
was-
civilized destruction.
But if an American force fucking glares at somebody, that's a war crime. And I hate it because the U.S. press went so far as to fabricate war crimes by altering video during the early days of the war on terror. And now they're clapping like fucking seals over blatant Geneva Convention violations. But if you complain about it, you support Russia. No, and don't you ever talk to me about supporting Russia. Ever. Because if you're a liberal or you're a Democrat, your side sucked commie cock all through the Cold War.
Did you hear? Did you see what Putin did 2 days ago?
I don't care what that fucking
That guy
fucking
still's getting
bald-headed
rolled
trout.
out.
I get it, but he outlawed anyone from saying they were trans or any trans surgeries.
I'll give him that.
He's doing that just to piss the West off.
It's working.
Yeah, well, don't fall for the fucking bait.
No, I
mean,
it's funny because I'm like, it'd be good if we did that.
I mean, if you're over 18, fine, do what you fucking want. If you're 20 years old, fine, do what you want. Here's a chainsaw, live it up. I don't care. I really don't. I mean, I don't because I don't care. But I mean,
they're basically grooming 5-year-olds to change.
That's where I object. And they're like, oh well, the churches groom children to. It's like, oh yes, it's so horrible. Churches groom children to teach everybody equally and look at their character and try to be good and try to follow rules. Yeah, that's fucking terrible. Fuck off.
Right. Listen to your parents. Listen to your elders. Listen to your authority.
And you want to know?
Be good to people. Holy shit, that's just despicable. Why should we do that?
Everybody who lived in California can validate this. The worst fucking kids were in school had hippie parents. They were the worst fucking kids.
Yep.
And God forbid they were hippies with money.
Oh God.
Fuck. I mean, it was you ran into some, and they're always like, no, I don't agree with that shit. My parents drive me fucking crazy. They're always lecturing me at home. They're always telling me I'm wrong. I get it, but I mean, with the worst kids, their sister would be great, or their brother would be great. They'd be a great person. They tried to be a nice person, and everything, but the other one was like the biggest raving asshole.
So isn't that basically like every kid now? Because there's just no boundaries, no rules, no.
There's no boundaries, no rules, no nothing.
I mean, that's like, I hate to say, like, I don't want to get too far into personal business, but like my what is he technically? Nephew, I think.
Your sister's kid is your nephew.
So, well, I know that he's not that, but he just seems like it because of the age. He's actually, oh God, I guess he's whatever. He's
okay,
cousin. But anyway, he's my cousin technically. And so when they adopted him, he, like his father died. He had an embolism and he died early. And so it's only been my aunt in his life now. And my aunt's a flaming liberal. And so the kid's grown up to be just, he has no boundaries. Like he'll just walk into people's house. Like
yeah, you were mentioning that.
Kid, and like he tries to trick people all the time. And he went to the beach in a dress with a pearl necklace.
To the beach.
Yes.
Hey, Ishi, are you still there? Or did we lose you? Cat, Ishi?
Uh-oh.
Guys, are you
Are
muted?
they there?
Oh, we're here. What's going on?
We were just wondering what happened. We haven't heard you say
Yeah,
anything in
the
like 20
three of
minutes.
us have been talking, and you guys have been radio silent.
Oh, well, we muted and turned the volume down because, frankly, it was too depressing and we felt like talking about something else. So,
Oh, we can talk about something else.
well, because you guys were on a roll. I was going to interrupt that.
Dude, it's your show.
Well,
Yeah,
not
man.
Exactly, but
It's your
So,
show,
guys,
dude.
boobs is steel. You should buy
Yes.
2 of them. Give them to your neighbor, your best friend,
well,
Buy
I
two-
think
buy two
everybody
and-
should buy them and like hand them out like seminal tracts, Go to church, hand them out.
well, if you actually do want to, if you guys actually do want to talk about the book, I'm okay with that. I don't know if you were just being nice there, or but I
Dude,
will
we
say
always
one-
love talking about your writing. Go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the thing I need to stress, and I think this has been a hurdle that I've been trying to get through on social media, is the name's great. It's such a clickbaity name. People will check it out. Unfortunately, there is the there are a lot of people who really do think this is just a book talking about how awesome boobs are.
Hey, Bar One Studios, I haven't eaten all fucking day, so you can shut the fuck up.
Gotcha. Now.
I'm
Damn.
sorry.
That
I
might
even
be
said
mean.
earlier I was eating. Okay? So you can go fuck yourself. I do
Hey,
not appreciate that.
She's doing God's
Me too.
work by making that awesome mead. So, she can eat
We'll let it
whatever
heat
she
up.
wants.
We'll let it.
We
heat up.
love you, Janelle.
I don't
Thank
have
you.
any mead. Can I have
Fuck.
some mead?
Well, I have to know where you live.
I'm not psychic here, damn it.
But seriously, that is one thing that I think a lot of people have had trouble kind of wrapping their head around, is that this isn't just some boob fest. There actually is a legit subject. And
What
well,
if it's the opposite? What if they're hoping that it is a boob fest and then
Well,
it's not?
they're
They're
gonna
like,
be a
this
little
has
disappointed.
words. Why are there
I think
words?
they're going to be a little disappointed. But I don't know. Janelle, you've read the whole thing, or most of it almost.
I actually like it because to me it's almost like a history book.
It is.
There
It
was
is
a
a history.
lot of stuff that I did not know of. I learned a lot about pulps. Surprisingly, from this book, I learned about pulps. Dude, Bar One, you need to back off. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Do you guys want me to leave the show? Because
No.
No, you are fine.
They'd probably rather him leave. I just think it's funny you think there's a button on the microphone. Well, you have the ability not to type anything.
Jesus.
No one really gives a fuck what you say anyway.
Oh my God.
Go talk to your
Anyway.
mom. She's the only one who cares.
Okay. So anyway, sorry, my blood pressure just went through the roof.
Don't look at the chat. Just hang out with friends. It's okay. And eat your chips. It's perfectly fine.
Okay.
It's okay. Somebody actually put him in a timeout. So
Okay. Anyway.
one of the moderators put him on a timeout.
Yeah, whoever did that, thank you. I didn't need that. I had made it clear when I came onto the show I was eating.
I've been chomping on Doritos, so he could have heard me too.
It's okay, Janelle. I find it sexy. Put your mouth up next to the mic and just chew it, nibble it for me.
Can I give you a banana?
Our Gray likes the crunch.
I was just eating seaweed.
Tell me how it feels on your tongue.
It dissolves. It's a nice salty flavor that dissolves. Add some wasabi on it, so I had a bite.
Oh man, that
okay, boobs
sounds
of steel.
So good.
Okay, boobs of steel. For me, I actually, when I was reading it, like I said, it was a history book. I learned more about pulps than I'd ever known in my life. I did not know how much pulps had actually been an influence, not for feminism, but for femininity in general. I could not believe how strong women were in pulps, to the point now where I am looking for pulps. I also learned how I knew about communism in Hollywood.
Let me jump in here real quick and then get into the communist shit. I think one thing that why I spent so much time on the 30s and 40s pulp scene is because we're constantly being told about how sexist those old sci-fi pulps were, how it was a boys' club. All lies. All fucking lies.
Well, a perfect example was that documentary that you sent to me, and I think to RALT'S too, on Lee Brackett, where she said it was not a boys' club, but you had to work for it, just like everybody did in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. This woman is the godmother or the creator, or they say the godmother or the grandmother of space opera.
Queen of space opera.
Yeah, a woman who wrote some of the sexiest females out there, including, wasn't it Black Amazon of Mars? Was that her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I still haven't had a chance to listen to that, and it really bums me out. But your book, I agree with Fair Maiden White on this too. Your book blows open so many lies that the media has perpetuated for so long. And Ralt's has talked about this too, because he knows people that lesbians aren't down with the male looking women right now. They like big hips, big tits, big ass, hot as fuck. And it's just amazing that the research that you have done has shown how long this attack has gone on, and they right now have, I don't want to say they've won, but they've got the upper hand. Luckily it's backfiring.
First off, I show that sci-fi wasn't the boys club or anti-woman like they always portrayed. And what the feminists used all the way back then even was they pointed at the sexy woman and screamed sexism. And that was always their, anytime you, well, how can you say that these books are sexist? Look at the book. Look at that sexy. Look at those boobs. It was always the tits. That was always their excuse. They didn't need to argue and just point at the woman with the tits and say sexist. And that seemed to be enough of an argument to convince, I guess, most women. I don't know.
So what happened if it was like a fat dude?
Well, hey, I watched a clip on YouTube. You guys will like this. They had 5 women show up, and they wanted them to rank themselves hottest to not hottest. Well, the fat girl, I believe, was number 2. The screaming boy-looking feminist was number 1. There was another chick that her eyes were bugging out of her head that was number 2. And then the 2 pretty chicks were 4 and 5. And so, those 3 women that were ugly said the 2 pretty women were ugly. Well, then they didn't tell them they had brought in 5 guys to do a test to actually rank them. The fat woman was last. The bug-eyed chick was number 4. The woman that they said was the ugliest by the guys was ranked number 1. So it just shows it's also a bunch of bitter fucking ugly women that are trying to get rid of femininity so they can, feel better about themselves. But
yeah,
really
now you have a group
of
guys that do the same thing, that see people like Margot Robbie and say she's mediocre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
So then I also get into the movie business, and again, it wasn't the boys club they claim. It absolutely wasn't.
Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there was casting couch, but you can't tell me there wasn't casting couch on both sides. I am sure there were some female producers that took advantage of that with some young hot guy. You want to roll?
Oh my God!
They even did that. Do you guys remember the movie Soap Dish?
Yes.
Okay, Carrie Fisher's character did that. If a hot guy wanted on the soap opera, she had the casting couch because she was the one that was in charge of casting. She got caught doing it.
Wasn't she sleeping with Harrison Ford?
Biography.
Wasn't she wasn't she sleeping with or trying to sleep with Harrison Ford while Mark Hamill was like in love with her?
During the original Star Wars movie, Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher were bumping uglies while Mark Hamill was desperately in love with her.
Yeah, he's like on the outside door going, "Can I come in?"
Yeah, they said that Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford were inseparable during the movie. Now, I do find this a little creepy on Ford's part because he was 33 and she was 19 and he was married with kids.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. He was a carpenter that came to Hollywood at that time.
Yeah.
So
and Mark Hamill desperately wanted to be with her, but the older man got her.
I just want to say, you're talking about the casting couch being both ways. Fucking Joan Crawford.
Oh,
yeah. She banged like everybody that she was cast with. And it was known if you're going to be in a Joan Crawford film, you're probably going to have to fuck her if you're male. And there's like one guy, I don't remember who it was, who it is everywhere implied but never declared that he was gay, and she apparently cornered him in a sauna and put her hand down his pants and said, "Pretend I'm Cary Grant."
No, you're saying does this happen to guys? It happened to Chris Kattan for the film Corky Romano, where it was basically fuck the director, this film's not happening.
Oh my! Is that why he disappeared from Hollywood right after that movie came out?
Yes, because he didn't want to fuck the woman directing the film.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think it was a male on male though. I was thinking about Terry Crews talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah, but for Chris Kattan, it was a woman. But you were going to bring up the communism thing too.
Oh, how communism had infiltrated Hollywood.
Yeah, you were surprised just how much communism factored into this.
Okay, yeah, I knew that Hollywood was communist, and I knew that, I mean, obviously, John Wayne was the one that was leading the charge to keep Hollywood at bay, because Hollywood was actually, a lot of the actors are incredibly conservative. But after he died, that's when they were like, fuck it, let's go. And you can see it's like an immediate shift in all the movies, any sort of entertainment, not necessarily books or comic books yet. But there was actually a very famous movie made with Robert De Niro and Annette Bening, and you were supposed to feel sympathy for Robert De Niro's character. Is based on a true story about how he was a card-carrying Marxist, and he got called in front of the McCarthy. Oh God, help me out, guys! My brain broke. Not the witch trials, but you guys know what I'm talking about.
The
Red Scare.
Yeah,
it wasn't a scare; it was real.
Yeah. So, I mean, this movie was made to garner sympathy. I had to watch it in high school, and my teacher was very much on the side of the producers that were being raked over the coals for being card-carrying Marxists. But
McCarthy
that movie,
was right.
and what backfired in a way, because it made people go, "Oh shit!" Like, so the communists were actually in Hollywood way before that.
Yeah.
And then finding out the Frederick. What's his fuck? The asshole that ruined comics.
Oh, Frederick Wortham.
Okay. That he was a card-carrying Marxist. And then finding out how many people who had changed and destroyed Hollywood were Marxists and communists. It's wild. See, there we got the ASMR going. And I do like eating ASMR. I'll watch those videos. Anyway, I didn't realize how far and how early it had been there, but I'm not surprised because it was the perfect form of propaganda. Hollywood, hell yeah.
Yeah, babe.
Hollywood, hell yeah.
Why? What's up?
So kind of sounds like America, you know.
In a book called Boobs of Steel, you actually get an expose on just how fucked up communism is and how much it has been bleeding into our culture. And how much it has screwed up everything from movies to comics to novels to sci-fi. It's all in here. And believe it or not, they used the whole sexy woman and boobs as their way to convince women, look, see, the men are oppressing you.
I think you need an audio ASMR advertisement with Janelle, Kat, and Catherine. Eating chips and
together?
Talking about boobs of steel.
Well, actually, I have a couple of very conservative friends, and I was like, you got to read this new book that my friend wrote called Boobs of Steel, and you should have seen their face like, excuse me? I'm like, no, just listen. That's actually a name. It's like a trope. They called it in Hollywood, you know, an Amazonian woman, you know, that was having adventures was actually called Boobs of Steel, and I explained the premise of your book. And they're like, we want to read this. So I'm actually getting people to like go to Amazon. Yeah. And I mean, I'm talking, these are very conservative people, like work for the church, conservative.
Well, I think
and they actually want to read the book.
Well, I think they're going to be a little surprised because, again, people will go into this thinking it's going to be a Russ Meyer type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go through it, you realize that what communism did by getting rid of these curvaceous, beautiful women was essentially an attack on normal sexuality, normal families, normal man-woman relationships.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at society today. Normal man-woman relationships are considered icky. The uglier you are, the better you are. Don't put any effort into yourself. Get sloppy fat. Roll out of bed with your PJs on, go to your job with your Crocs on, you know, just look absolutely disgusting.
Communism seems to have a real obsession with ugliness and gray plainness.
I don't know if it's necessarily, I think what it kind of comes down to is the winner of communism does the least.
Well, Well,
yes,
no, because like
that's true.
If you look at Soviet brutalist architecture, it's meant to look unattractive, very plain, very oppressive. If you look at what the Maoists did, Mao went out of his way to make sure that the women looked androgynistic and slim and flat-chested, and that was all
like I
by
said,
design.
like bland, like English food.
Yeah, bland, exactly.
Well, it was so oppressive looking too. So that people that were living in the Soviet areas were they had the oppression feeling of the brutalist architecture. I mean, it looked like you were in a friggin' prison wherever you went.
Right.
I mean, you look at like the architecture of God, 1700s compared to today.
Yeah, just gorgeous.
And it's like the architecture today is so bad. It's so horrible. I mean, yes, it's serving, I suppose, a different purpose. They wanted to kind of have a especially like curvilinear and Baroque structure. They wanted to sort of accent the nature around the architecture, and for the architecture to almost be a piece, like to look like it could coexist there naturally. Whereas today, we just level that crap and put a whole bunch of crap, a whole bunch of boxes in it.
Also, this is going to sound, strange, but I am going to bring it up. I can remember being a kid, going on road trips. It's 2 a.m. Everybody's tired. Everybody's hungry. And you can tell what the fast food restaurant is down the block by the shape of the building. You don't even need to see the sign. You know for a fact that's a Taco Bell, or for a fact that's a McDonald's. All of them fucking look exactly the same. They're all grays. They're with red in the coloring somewhere, because red does psychologically.
Red and yellow most of the time.
Yep. And exactly. But they're all fucking the same, and they're all bland, and they're all boring.
So
can you imagine if every day you could walk to the center of your town and it looked like the Parthenon, or like walking through Prague, or the best parts of Paris or something? You know what I mean? Like if you could walk, you would be proud. You would be happy to walk through every day. But who the hell wants to walk by a bunch of tennis shoe boxes?
So Undead Quinn says even Playboy pushed communism and counterculture. That's because Hef was a fucking moron and just whatever was good for he pretended to be deep. He wasn't. He wasn't deep at all.
Hef was a disgusting predator. If you've heard the stories from the Playboy bunnies being his girlfriend, everybody, say, oh, well, you knew what you were getting into. No, it came out that he actually had his guys drug them, and then he'd have his way with them. Several of the girls have had to have abortions because they didn't want to get pregnant and didn't want to get kicked out of the mansion because he had isolated them from their families. He was not a good person, and that's saying it lightly. He's actually a very disgusting man. I'm not a fan of him at all. I did appreciate Playboy, honestly. I did like reading the articles and the stories in them. They were actually really good. But he himself, he was a predator. I mean, it horribly so.
I don't know how that's going to go. Like, harems have never been anything else but that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you would go into a harem, be educated in any way, and think it's going to be different. I mean, he literally had the drugs you're talking about, and like, what is it? The blue pill.
Women have an incredible ability to delude themselves.
I think people do. Let's be honest. People do. But
but no, he loves me. I'm the special one.
I think you just want it. You want it bad enough. I mean, I could see that. You're like a pretty girl from a small town. You come in. It's just like it's almost like the angels in the architecture. Like you had the poor, dirty miscreant walking into the church, and there's beautiful song and candles that smell good, and there's incense, and you look up in the roof, and there are angels in the architecture. It's like a magical, transcendent experience.
Well,
yeah.
Okay, Fair Maiden says minimalism is not necessarily a good thing. It's all in the approach, Fair Maiden, because let me tell you, The Japanese were masters of calming, beautiful minimalism. The Soviets were fucking butchers.
Well, again, the Japanese wanted to work with. I mean, it's like the bonsai tree. You want to work with the growth, not against it. You know what I mean? So you have this organic sort of creation instead of, like, again, when we were talking about the Soviets, they just wanted. They were kind of, that's the more industrial, more like, we don't care. It's just got to function. You know?
Hey, did we lose RALT'S too?
I don't know.
Did he mute himself? He had to go talk to his wife. I know that. She called him.
You can't hear me.
No, we can hear you. No, we heard that.
But
what about now?
Uh-oh.
What?
Okay.
What did he say?
What? I thought he said, what about Matt?
So I heard it.
Holy shit! How long have I been muted?
Okay, he's back now.
A while.
My wife asked me a question, so I hit mute, and then I unmuted on my way over here. You know, I was listening and adding just little comments the whole fucking time.
We didn't hear
Oh
any
my
of
god,
that.
we didn't hear a word.
Oh.
Because I'm like, why? RALT'S should be ranting right now. Like, we are talking about stuff that we know that he's got experience with, and he should be ranting away.
Soviet architecture is not called minimalism. It's called brutalism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's called that because it brutalizes the soul. It is deliberately made that way because you should not glorify anything but the state. The state is all there is to glorify. You don't glorify your fellow man. There are no heroes under communism. Every individual, no matter what they do, even if it's masturbating in a phone booth, is just as much a hero as the steel worker and the fireman and the soldier. Everybody is heroic under communism. Nobody is better than anybody else. Everybody is special. And artwork under communism, brutalistic artwork is, well, what's sad is artwork in America and West has gotten so bad nowadays that the Soviet shit looks good.
I mean, Russian poetry can be really good.
Well, yes, but all that is like the early stuff.
Early, I mean, I would guess I'm talking about probably like 1700s, so maybe.
Yes.
I guess that's.
So actually, a whole thing about there can be no heroes under communism. Everybody has to be equally as good. Yes. I talk about this in the introduction, I believe, for Boobs of Steel, that while I don't like either of them, when either Betty Friedan or Steinem, they were both terrible people. But when Steinem put Wonder Woman on the cover of Ms. Magazine, Betty Friedan, who was a communist, actually broke away from that, and that actually split the feminist movement in the 70s. That was where the first divide came, because the communist half said, wait a minute, you're elevating this one character. We cannot, and they flat out said they did not want mythical characters or fairy tales or, you know, these mascots that told women they could be superwomen. They wanted to glorify the average nobody.
Well, that was really Gloria Steinem. I'm not a fan of, but her defense of Wonder Woman not losing her powers, but her article on why did you depower her? You've taken away some of the things that made her really good. She's still a badass now, but you've changed her entire background, and she needs to go back to being a Amazonian warrior. It's really surprising for all of Gloria Steinem's faults that she actually defended Wonder Woman in that sexy bodice and everything, and just
that one thing split the feminist movement. That was where the divide first started, was right there. So much that Steinem and Friedan stopped being friends and wouldn't talk to each other after that. That there was, half the women were like canceling their subscription to Miss, and that was where the rift first started. And it was because she had elevated a superhero to represent their movement. And then when Linda Carter came on television, and it was being promoted as, oh, well, this show where, we've got this feminist icon, fighting the Nazis. You're all going to love it. And huge, like half the feminist movement lost their shit over. Half of them liked it. The other half lost their shit because a beauty queen was representing their movement. How dare they? A beauty queen, a slave to patriarchy. And this is all in the book, by the way.
Yeah, it's such a slave to patriarchy that she's married to the president of Bethesda.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
The video game company?
Yeah, actually, she has a couple of roles in, I think, Fallout and Elder Scrolls.
It's always funny, the women. They're like women hate white people, and then they're married to a white guy.
There was a meme that I thought was funnier than hell, and it said black women on Twitter, black feminist women on Twitter, and it shows a black chick punching a white dude, and then it's from a Disney cartoon, and then it's black women in real life, and it shows Pocahontas kissing John Smith. And it's like, yeah. It's just, it's funny because it seems like celebration of female bodies, they would want everything from your looks like a potato with no boobs to your, oh my God, how are you human? How are you actually a human being and not something from, Olympus? It seems like they'd want the wide variety. And the funny thing is all of the women that bitch about sexualization, if you look at their bookshelf, you all have male supermodels on the cover of their favorite books.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. They're all about those
yeah, they
Harlequin
always
romances.
Or the say like in comic books, they love like when Wolverine or Cyclops or somebody's got no shirt on, bare chested, 8 abs, and then but they want the women in a burqa.
They twisted that stuff to be like, well, that's the male power fantasy. And when you get to a male power fantasy, and guys are pretty simple. In the fantasy, either A, we're the last survivor of some terrible fucking thing that it took grit and determination to get through, or we died gloriously shoulder to shoulder with our friends.
Yeah.
There's the male power fantasy. Like they say, this is Barbie. She has been, countless articles have been written on her. She's been held up as damaging women and young girls' body images for decades. This is He-Man. He's a doll.
Yeah.
Or the other one, they look at a fit supermodel and it's like, oh my God, this is harmful to women. And they show this fucking buff dude with a sword off a cover of a Manowar album, and the guy's thinking, I gotta buy a sword and hit the gym.
It's like that meme where you see the woman lying in bed with her significant other, and she's like, I bet he's thinking of other women, and then the guy is thinking like, I need to order the latest video game, or like you said, I need to go hit the gym so I can use a sword.
Or yeah, she's sitting on the couch going, I'll bet he's with another woman, and it shows him skipping, going, if I step on a crack,
I
I'm
like
gay.
the one where it's the dude like deadlifting and his chick's behind him, and she's like, I bet he's looking at all the women in the gym, and he's like, if I don't lift this, then I'm gay and my family will die.
Yeah. Let's not forget that thing that went around that was like, oh, men can't go longer than 7 seconds without thinking about sex. And then it turned out that wasn't even a research paper. It was just something people made up on Tumblr.
That really blows my mind that people would actually think that. Like, how would a guy be able to function? Your penises would always be sticking out because all you were thinking about is sex.
We can't talking breasts.
Well, I just think it's funny that they're like, we're going to cover women up. I'm like, have you ever read Westerns, or, have you ever read, the like journals and stuff or papers that were written, of history in the like 1700s, ankles turn dudes on, necklines.
Yeah. Well, look at, we live, some of us live in the Old West. I mean, you go down to the museums and my God, she had huge tits. Because most of it is on display. Mm-hmm. and we're not talking somebody's picture at the county fair. No. We're talking authentic black and white photographs. And it's like, my God, that's a lot of boobs. And you held still for that long? And you cannot badger and bully your way into actually changing people. I'll tell you what's driving all these guys fucking crazy is they're trying to conform and tell themselves they're bad people. And it's cognitive dissonance. They're trying to believe they're bad people and deny, they're trying to deny what they really are because if I think that, I'm a bad person. No, it's, if you have thoughts, that's one thing. It's how you act on it's your actions that matter. It's your actions, how you treat, and how you treat others, how you speak, that what matters. If you have a porn movie running 24/7 in your head, That doesn't make you a bad person. But if you try to fuck every girl, whether she says yes or no, that makes you a bad person. If you just try to screw everything that moves, that makes you a pathetic person. But if you got that porn movie running, well, sorry, man, you just got a porn track running in your head. I'll tell you.
Well, that's like the difference between virtue and truth and justice or actual is like people say if I think it, they're like, oh, I'm talking about it, I'm thinking it, so I'm just as good as doing it. No, you're not.
No, you're not. No, you are not. Just thinking it does not make you a bad person.
No, thinking and doing are two completely different things.
And that is liberalism and communist, that if you think it, you're a bad person.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not even supposed to think it because they want to control your very thought because they don't want you to think, maybe the state's not all powerful.
They don't want you to think, because they just want to tell you what to do.
That's like, being in a cult 101. It's you start controlling how people view what goes on in their own heads.
And I want to say something. They all talk about how Marx was like, oh, the factory labor. I'm going to say something. Marx never had a job.
Didn't he just sit in the basement of his friend's house or something?
Yeah, his rich friend supported him, and the most he did was journalism. He never had a job. He never worked in a factory. And I can tell everybody, it's like, oh, working in a factory is dehumanizing and it's soul crushing. And when you go home, your soul is crushed. He made a religion,
and he didn't even have the balls to say it was a religion.
And I've worked in factories. I love factory work. God, I love it.
I was gonna say L. Ron Hubbard created a religion, and he bragged about it after he stole Jack Parsons' money.
He did it for
and his wife.
He did it for teenage pussy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
there are worse ventures, I suppose.
Who was the friend that Mark sidled up to? That was the rich boy that he conned into having him pay for everything for him until the day he died.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can't remember
I know
the guy's
Ingalls
name.
was one of his friends, but
that's it. Ingalls was the super wealthy guy that he convinced to go along with the plan, and was like, "Okay, yeah, you pretend that you're still working for your dad's company, and you make all that money, and then you funnel it to me so I can keep the fight going." The guy was a freaking parasite.
I gotta wonder if there was a little bit of yaoi love going on there,
Well, he even married a rich girl, the daughter of a rich man, and the father saw right through him and told his daughter, if you marry him, you are cut off and you will be living in poverty. And she actually believed in Marx's lies and thought everything would be okay. And she went from being a super wealthy socialite to a very poor housewife that did everything while her spoiled ass husband sat in a basement and wrote his manifesto.
Wow.
Yeah, the guy knew what he was doing. That's why I said, I wonder if L. Ron Hubbard studied him and took notes. I swear to God, he did the same thing.
The funny thing was Marx didn't like women. I mean, he really didn't.
Why is that funny? I mean, he did, like I said, he did the least possible. Women take investment. He's probably like, that's work. I don't want that shit.
Maybe she was his beard. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise my mother.
She's, I can firmly believe, communism hate. I firmly believe that communism hates women.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing is, here in the West, they convinced women to go get a job, and then they slowly raised stuff until it requires 2 incomes for a lot of people to keep their family going. So it basically doubled the pool of laborers. Now, what's going to happen when communism comes along? How are they going to transform from women should work because they can have it all to communism where nobody has anything?
I mean, we've already invented bullcrap jobs, or all these kind of companies to sort of deal with the fact that we doubled the job pool, in the past 30 years, but we haven't increased anything per capita. Like, we haven't increased need or even luxury per capita. So we basically took most of the higher end management jobs and turned them into 2 to 3 jobs. That's why most of these jobs are just button chair jobs.
Okay, so gonna change the subject again real quickly, just because. Okay, audience, since there's 29 of you listening, this is the right time to ask. Okay, You guys all seem to really love drunk cat rating boobs.
Oh, I missed that.
I'm not laughing at you, Kat. I think that's the most amazing thing ever.
No, this was a conversation on Twitter.
So yeah. Was it Friday we did it? Was it Friday?
It must have been Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, Friday night.
No, it was Thursday.
It was Thursday.
We didn't want to wait till Friday.
You all submitted.
Did we have a pedigree? I mean, did you create a scale for these boobs? Was
Yeah, it was A through
F.
F, and then S tier.
Yeah.
And Kat got about.
This is like an anime guild.
Oh, Fair Maiden, I want to give you a hug.
And Kat got some whiskey in her, and what it is all the listeners were the ones that sent the pictures.
Yeah.
Or decided on who Kat was going to rate. And the audience seemed to love it so much that now apparently they want her to rate bad cosplayers.
I just have a question. Did anybody send pictures of Dolly Parton in her prime? Because, oh my God, those are natural. And she had a great set of boobies.
Yes, she did.
Oh my gosh. The movie 9 to 5, when she was wearing those secretarial outfits with the little jackets. Oh my goodness. So hot. I'm sorry. I'm an unabashed Dolly Parton.
That's fine.
Dolly
I'm
Parton fan.
with you. Once I found out that the woman owns her own theme park, and every time they open up a new ride, she goes there to spend the day with the fans. It's like I want to be there on that day. The next time that happens, that just sounds.
She is based as hell.
Roller coaster with Dolly Parton.
So what's it called? Parton Valley?
Dollyland.
Dollywood.
Yeah, Dollywood.
Ride the Peaks.
Dollywood. That's what it was. Dollywood.
I actually have had friends that I live in Tennessee, and they've gone to Dollywood several times, and they say it is a blast. It is one of the most fun places to go to.
It's cool as hell. They have it's like if you go to a craft festival, crafts festival, but or one of those historic 1900s or 1800s crafts festivals, where you see people make taffy and all that junk.
It is historical. It's a converted railway station. RALT'S, you were trying to say something.
Oh, it's funny. About 2 years ago, the progressives tried to jump on her, and people were like, "You can sit down and shut up because she's taught more rural and urban children how to read than anybody else in the fucking world."
Yeah, she gives books away.
Yeah, she gives her wealth away. I mean, she even said the reason she didn't have children is because she'd rather focus on the fans and their children. I mean,
I know people who got boxes of, wrote to her and said, "Hey, I'm too poor to afford, really anything for my kid. Me and my husband are working 2 jobs. Times are tough. And can you send us a book or 2 for them to work to read?" And she'd send them a bunch of kids' books.
She has a program where you can go and ask at schools. They have representatives that go not directly, but I'm sure to her some way or to her organization, where you can ask for books and she will just give them. They don't vet, if you need them, she gives them. And there's just hundreds of thousands. And she developed the program that a lot of theme, I don't know, like presentations or performances like Camelot in Las Vegas uses her program. She developed that program for her performances in Dollywood, and she sold it.
That's cool.
I actually have a funny Dolly Parton story to tell you guys if you want to hear it.
Sure.
Maybe you guys have heard it, but she was on tour and they came across a Dolly Parton drag contest.
Oh.
And she entered into it and she lost.
Wow.
The real Dolly Parton lost to an actual drag queen. They didn't know she was Dolly Parton either. She just registered. So, she went in. They just were like, "No, you don't look like Dolly Parton. This person looks like Dolly Parton." And then she revealed herself and they all freaked out.
Wow.
That's the greatest thing. Have you heard
More
of any
human
stars
than
who would do
human.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
How many stars would do that and be totally cool with the fact they didn't win either?
Okay, I want to make a point. Okay. In 9 to 5, Dolly Parton is the most headstrong of the bunch.
Yeah.
Boobs of Steel.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, her clip
What
of
was
what
the
they do
one-
to the boss is hysterical, where she roasts him over the fire after she captures him.
What movie was it?
She
that she
fits
was
the archetype.
What movie was it where she was the radio psychologist? There was a really good movie where she was a radio psychologist.
Rhinestone? Was that right? No, that was
No.
that was
And it
Sylvester
had a
Stallone.
funny thing because she's dating this guy who was like, yeah, I wanted to be a writer, and I told all my friends I'm going to write a book, and I was having trouble starting it. My friends would be like,
Straight
how's
talk?
the book going?
Straight
Yes.
talk.
And he's like, my friends would be like, how's the book coming? I'd be like, oh, it's going good. And then he'd be like, how they going? I'm still not working on it because I can't get it started. They'd be like, oh, it's half done. And then they'd be like, how's your book coming along? I'd be like, oh, it's almost done, but I haven't started it yet. And then they're like, how's your book coming? And I'd be like, oh, it's done. And I never started it. And that always stuck with me. That the guy was like, oh, I wanted to write a book, and that made it so that I wouldn't tell anybody if I decided if I was ever going to write books, I wasn't going to tell anybody how far along I was. Which is good advice.
So what about Straight Talk?
That's the movie Straight Talk.
Oh, okay.
That's a scene in Straight Talk, and it's a good movie.
Wow, Jerry Orbach's in that film.
She's
What a hell of
done
a
a lot of
cast.
good. She's
Yeah.
done a lot of good films. I absolutely love The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. That is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. Her and
I have
Burt
never
Reynolds
seen
and
that.
Don.
I'm sorry, I can't hear that title without thinking
Venture
of
Brothers?
Venture Brothers. Where Rusty is like, "Ooh, I'm gonna watch a spicy X-rated
Yeah.
film." It's like, no.
And Brock's like, Doc, that's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
No, that movie is so good, and the fact that the women in the town send their husbands to the chicken ranch because they're too tired of having sex with them, so they send them to the hookers. That movie is so much fun. I think it's Dom DeLuise's performance is very over the top in a good way as the guy that's coming in to clean up the town.
I had a great aunt that said that she used to send my great uncle down to the whorehouse when she was pregnant, so she didn't have to put up with him poking at her while she was like 7 or 8 months.
Oh God.
And the way she talked, a lot of women did it. Or a lot of women be like, look, I don't feel like being touched right now. I'm too close to my period, or I'm on my period. Here's $5. Go get that chick to blow you.
Fuck.
Damn.
Well, it wasn't that big of a deal. And I always thought that was kind of funny. Look, I'm tired of you getting on top of me. So can you give me a break for a couple of days? Here's $10. Don't blow it all in one hole.
Oh God.
I mean, so are you going to cover in Boobs of Steel how video games deliberately they know that they're making these women ugly and unsexy, and they do it deliberately to change the way people view attraction?
Yes, actually, we have 2 chapters on it. What's that, Janelle?
I was saying, yes, you did, because you talk about what they did to Mortal Kombat. I mean, half the fun of Mortal Kombat was the scantily clad women that had amazing jiggle physics. And now what's really interesting is the women are all ugly and covered up, and the men are actually scantily clad and like glistening.
Yeah.
It's really twisted.
Yeah, the name of that title, that chapter,
See Scorpion glisten.
that chapter is in a later book. It's not in the first one.
Okay.
It's called "Give Them an Inch, They Take Several Cup Sizes."
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's use an actual example. When we play Fallout 76 together, you guys see flat-chested, no-butt, scrawny girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see big old fucking I see big old double or triple D's, wide hips, and a plump ass.
Well, wait a minute.
I modded it.
Undead's character, when we're playing, has some nice junk in the trunk and her cute little pink suit.
Yeah.
I made mine look like She-Hulk. She's all muscled and tall with green hair.
And they deliver, and then it's weird because it's one of the first mods that hit, no matter what the game. One of the first mods that'll hit is, here's how you can make them look like real people.
Or just nude.
Yeah, or
Wait,
nude.
hold on. Bar one, is Best Little Whorehouse in Texas really based on a true story? Holy shit, if that's for real, that's amazing. Anyway, sorry, he said based on a true story.
They went and changed. I remember they started changing all the women. They went from attractive women And Fallout and Elder Scrolls were really bad about it. They went from attractive female characters to, is that a 12-year-old boy? I mean, holy shit. Because, you know, God forbid women be pretty.
Yeah.
Do you remember Oblivion and how everybody was an ugly potato head?
Well,
Elder
that was
Scrolls
because
Oblivion?
that was the Oblivion engine.
Okay, God, that's like one of the, the ugliest people I've ever seen her in that game.
I
Well, up
mean,
until this new Fable game, Jesus.
I don't
Well,
think. Oh, go ahead.
get into in that chapter. I get into what is called the Andromeda effect, which is the model, the actual woman who did the mocap and the face model for the characters is
I
like
bet she's gorgeous.
considerably more attractive than the actual character in the game.
Oh, the actual character in the game is hideous.
Are you talking about Mass Effect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh,
And I also there's a second chapter where I get into Lara Croft, but in there I actually make a very compelling argument that games were actually becoming more and more open to well, basically it was becoming more diverse and more female friendly and had more female characters and was doing all the things that they claimed they wanted better until feminism intervened, and that's when it went off the rails.
Well,
Went to shit.
let's look at one of the most popular downloads. It came out really early for Fallout 4, and it made it so it changed the people. It changed the crowds and the settlers, so they all looked unique. So you'd have fat women, you'd have skinny women, you'd have tall women, you'd have short women, and it was one of these mods that everybody loved. I mean, it was the number one mod for like 3 months straight. It beat out the nude pack, you know. And they had stuff like that, but then they got rid of it so that here's the real reason that they do it. They do it so they only have to have 1 or 2 character models, 1 or 2 character rigs. It's to be cheap, and you know, I love. I hated what Anita Sarkeesian got up there and did because she basically wanted everybody covered up in a burqa. And
yeah,
they did that in Mortal Kombat. They covered Jade in a burqa.
And I hate it because, I mean, when I play, you know, I got a bad habit when I play a video game with a male character. The reason why I don't do it is because I always make him look like me subconsciously, and everybody's like, ah, ha, ha, he looks like you, and it's like, fuck. But I like, you know, diversity, and you're right, they had it. She's right, they had it.
Yeah,
they had it so when you entered a crowd in video games, it would randomize the way they look. Think about Saints Row 3. Saints Row 2 and 3, the crowds were all different heights, all different sizes, and they got rid of that to make everybody flat-chested.
Right.
And they did it, and then they claimed it was to fight sexism, and it was like, you know, women with more than B cups exist. You know, and I follow plenty of weightlifters on Twitter, you know, because weightlifting hot chicks, and a lot of them have big boobs.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, the whole claim also, oh well, a warrior woman wouldn't have big tits. Oh, women with big boobs can't fight. Have you ever watched wrestling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or MMA? Is that what you point at? That woman?
Well, no,
she pulled up her.
I mean, just because wrestling's fake does not mean it's not physically intense.
Oh no,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say they're all phenomenal athletes.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be. To do that kind of performance. That's, you know, not a normal person is not capable of that.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, oh, you can't be strong and have big breasts. My wife was a power lifter, and she had big ones, and I mean, they got even bigger because she got the pectoral shelf, you know, a lot thicker, and it made her boobs even bigger.
I admit, Ralt,
she's over there bouncing her boobs.
I want to ask for pictures of her in her prime because I totally want to see that.
We actually we lost all the photographs, including the kids' baby pictures when the house burned down.
Oh no!
It's like one of the biggest family things because there was pictures of me with my brothers. There's pictures of I had pictures of my brother who was killed in Vietnam. It was fucking crushing because, you know, I don't have any, you know, my sister was living on her own and lost most of the stuff in the St. Helens eruption. One of my brothers had a tornado. You know, life goes on, but we lost the family albums. And oh God, my sister found a picture of me standing with my dad when I'm like 5. And that's like one of the few pictures of me they've got. at all because I don't. And my mother avoided pictures. Me and Trista, we had photo albums full of stuff like us at Desert Storm. There used to be a picture of me and my friends standing naked in the rain on top of nuclear artillery rounds.
Oh wow.
It's just as stupid as it sounds. But I also had pictures of the girls standing naked on them, and it's in the rain. And these girls are buff because they've been lifting artillery shells all year, so they're just built, and you can see it. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is lifting weights actually does it might not make your cup size get bigger, it may make your band size get bigger, but your boobs look larger, and it helps with the tendon. What causes breasts to sag is that tendon gets slack. Lifting, for some reason, lifting weights works. She was one of those women that she'd flex her arm and it looks like she had a softball.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, she put a lot of work into it because she did not want to be the woman who couldn't yank a 200-pound infantryman out of a burning vehicle. That was always one of her fears, that she wouldn't be able to do that. And they're like, oh, you can't lift weights. They're talking about these female bodybuilders that have taken so much steroids and trimmed their body fat down so far, they don't have periods anymore.
Yeah. Whereas you look at powerlifters, they're stacked.
Yes. And most of them got big boobs.
Yeah.
Oh God, the woman who had the Iron Woman.
Oh yeah, Jill Mills was at one time considered the strongest woman in the world.
Damn.
She had huge tits.
I guess you got to balance out that ass because you end up with a big tight ass.
Mm-hmm.
I need to ask. I was gonna say I need to ask your wife tips on how to power lift because I need to build up my muscles more.
She loved it. She even did it after she got in the military. But and you're right. They make this huge thing out of women in sports can't have big tits. Well, that's not true. But it does weigh down on your chest a little bit when you're running. And I'm sorry, they fucked up when they made it so that at the Olympics the only thing that could compete is a 12-year-old Chinese girl. When they got rid of all the stunts and they got rid of the actual strength in it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want something, look at the gymnasts in the 70s and 80s. I mean, Nadia Comaneci did shit that modern gymnasts look at as, I would never do that. That's way too dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the gymnast that did the one move that they made illegal?
Nadia Comaneci, and there was another one too. There's two Russians that were doing them. And
Olga something.
Yeah, and what was her name? Mary Lou Retton did one that's now illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was a teenager, I had a crush on her.
Mary Lou Retton was cute.
And she was, and nowadays, you look at the female gymnasts, and they're all like 12.
Yeah.
Well, they also, I mean, do you guys remember that scandal that came out in it was the mid to late 90s? It was after Carrie Strug, where you found out that I think it was the Karoses and other people were injecting it was puberty blockers into the girls so they would not reach puberty, and then after they aged out they wouldn't give it to them anymore, and these girls were having periods for the first time and they were hemorrhaging.
And there was brittle bones and all that shit. And what was it? Ballerinas. I mean, I used to go to the ballet. I mean, that's a big shocker. High school dropout goes to ballet, film at 11. And the women used to, some of those women were stacked. But now you go and look at it, and it's all flat-chested boys.
Well, a perfect example is Simone Biles. She is beautifully sculpted muscularly, but her breasts are gone. And it makes you wonder if they're still doing the puberty blockers on her. Because she should be stacked.
But, and it's weird. Every communist I knew in college hated beautiful women.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because communism goes against one thing. Communism claims we're all born equal. And that's not true. I'm sorry. We're equal in the eyes of God, and we're equal in the eyes of the law in America. In America, we're supposed to be equal in the eyes of the law. We're equal in the eyes of God. But communism claims everybody's interchangeable, and everybody is interchangeable, and everybody is the same, and that is not true. I mean, and you know what? Did you know that that's one of the reasons I believe that they push so hard to get sports and gym out of school?
Oh yeah.
Because that's the first place you learn that boys and girls aren't equal and that everybody is not equal. And they're like, oh, it hurts children's self-esteem. You need to find out that people can beat you at stuff.
You know, we need to stop telling kids they're special and that they're perfect the way they are.
You're not. You should always strive to be better.
Well, I gotta say, we tell Chris that he's perfect, but for us, just us. Like
I told my kids they were special to me.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I told Chris he's special to me, but he has to realize that he's not special to anybody else.
And you know what parents need to go back to saying? Life isn't fair.
Oh yeah, we drill that into his head all the time. Like, life isn't fair. Get over it.
Look at sports. They got rid of sports. They do their best to get rid of sports, except for certain sports. But they got rid of gym and they got rid of everything else. They got rid of recess because kids compete too hard. Because little kids like to compete, especially little boys, because they're like, well, everybody's equal. Well, no, you're not. There were kids
I remember when I was in 3rd grade, and I remember reading this magazine because I was in California at the time, and they were talking about then, and this was like 87, 88, something like that. And they were talking about, oh, we're going to take out, baseball and t-ball and, even dodgeball and running and everything else. And they're going to replace it where they have this big, like, beach ball that everybody pushes.
When
everybody has equal. And I remember thinking, I'm going to push it.
So
when I was in school, it's one of the schools I was living at. We'd moved again. The kids played soccer, and as long as it was an elementary school, so it was the 6th graders and any boy brave enough to get in there, right?
Yeah.
And that sounds like, oh, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal was the playground monitors didn't care what happened to us out there. You could throw a fist and nobody cared. It was not uncommon to come into class and your face is covered in blood, and the rule was you didn't go to the nurse. So, you'd be sitting there, your mouth's bleeding during class and you're holding a paper towel up there. The only thing you got is the teacher wouldn't call on you because we get out there and compete, and inevitably somebody gets hit in the face with a soccer ball. And if you didn't get up, the other kids would kick you until you got up because we were boys.
Yeah, it's like basketball, like when you play basketball on the concrete.
But they get rid of that.
You get bloody, get the hell up.
Well, I'm sure you guys
got rid of it.
Dodgeball when in elementary school. They'd say, don't aim for the head. We were all aiming for the head.
Well, dodgeball is a perfect example of how sports should work. The kids that didn't want to play dodgeball held still and got hit. The girls who didn't want to play the girls that wanted to sit on the bleachers and gossip got hit. The people that were competitive got to play, but communism says everybody's equal, so you can't have that. And it gets me because, they got, Ishi's book points out, they got rid of boobs because everybody's not equal. And even, if you get breast enhancement, everybody's tits still aren't equal.
Right.
I mean, and so they get rid of them, and it's ridiculous. And I think that shit harmed. Okay. I think this get rid of female bodies harms girls more than they'll admit. I think it causes anorexia. I think it makes them starve themselves. I think it makes them hate their own breasts.
It goes further. Not in this edition, but in one of the later chapters, I make an incredibly strong argument that basically feminism has spent since the 1970s convincing girls that being female is a horrible, miserable, terrible thing where you're constantly living in fear. Your lot in life is to be miserable and to be beaten upon by men. And are they really shocked that we now have got a generation of girls that are trying to become male?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you read the feminism literature from the 70s, it's incredibly different than what they present today.
And I'm
like you read like Angie Carter. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, my wife has always reveled in the fact she's a female. She loves it. She's always loved she was a female. I mean, when we were younger, she would have walked around town with her tits out if she could have. I actually heard her mock another woman for having smaller breasts, that she was smaller and weaker and more weak-willed because she had smaller breasts. And the girl pulled her arm back and she was like, "You don't have the tits to hit me, whore."
Wow.
And the girl dropped her arm and walked away. And she was like, "That's why your boyfriend cheats on you."
It kind of reminds me of that scene in Talladega Nights
Who was
You know-
that? It was at the unit. You did that because you were in uniform and everybody would just slack jawed.
I don't remember.
Oh, she doesn't remember who it was, but she's got a big grin on her face because she remembers that shit. But they got rid of big boobs because I don't know. They hate women.
Yeah, they
Feminism hates women.
Yes. Feminism hates women. Leftism hates women. Yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing that's going to get women to really appreciate being a woman: if they bring back the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now that they're worried about that shit, I mean, you saw women all over Twitter. Are they bringing back the draft? Are they bringing back the draft? Are we eligible for the draft? And I used to say, yes, you are. Equal rights, baby.
Equal rights.
The same
equal
women
lefts.
who are panicking about the draft. I remember 10 years ago when they were bitching that they wanted to be part of the draft, that they should be part of the draft too.
No. They didn't want it. They didn't want to be part of the draft. They wanted in combat arms. And here's the big secret. They didn't want to be in combat arms so they could go in and fight next to the men. What they want to be is they want to be in a combat arms unit, but they want to be the radio or be the medic or be an officer so that they get the medals and they get the combat assignments so they get the promotion points. Right, so they're nodding. It had nothing to do with actually going into combat. If you want to go into combat, be an MP. MP see as much combat as infantry sometimes. Maybe, and in like Fallujah more, but it was never about it. So now that they're worried about the draft, all of a sudden this woman who's out here dancing around naked with written on her stomach "fuck the patriarchy" is now wearing a fucking 1800s dress and a bonnet and asking how you bake bread.
oh Janelle,
Yeah.
You guys were asking. This is getting back to a way back. This is the dude who was going on about how horrible Sound of Freedom was and how Cuties was great.
Okay, no, I was thinking of a different guy. There was like a blonde
That
guy
is
with the mustache.
totally what I would think as a
But yeah,
pedo.
that guy definitely screams pedo.
Oh, he's a regular
that guy,
New York
like,
Times
just-
journalist.
He might as well have a sign that says "Get in my van."
Well, if you want to loop it back around, take a really good look at who Hollywood prefers for female actresses.
Right.
They short, flat-chested, no hips, no butt.
Yep.
And what is that?
Little boy.
That is a child.
Well,
Hey,
you know
look at Florence Pugh, who's one of the new It girls. Like no breast. I don't know if you saw her at the Oppenheimer opening, but she's like cut off all of her hair, so she looks like a little boy in a dress.
Well, what it is I really believe it, that the reason why they've been getting rid of breasts and that there's been a war on women is so that to make it so that when you go to the movies, you see the lead actresses who are all getting kissed on by a man 3 feet taller than her, is so that it normalizes pedophilia.
I'm sure that's part of it, definitely. This whole thing started with Beauvoir in the late 40s, early 50s. She was from the Frankfurt School, and she was the one that all the feminists latched on to originally, who declared that women aren't born, they are made, and that the very concept of woman is trained in females so that they will be slaves to men. That's where this started. And she was a big communist, by the way, and a postmodernist.
We didn't
wake up. What I was going to say is there's a huge dichotomy, though, in like if you start to get into like the 70s to 80s, because there was this like sort of blossoming sexuality. Like if you read the literature from especially the 70s, women were like, we should be allowed to express our sexuality, and it should be within our agency. You know what I mean? Like that should be ours. But then you, at the other side of your mouth, say they shouldn't be sexual at all. Like that's a hell of a message to send young women.
They wanted their sexuality, but they wanted it with no repercussion and no consequences.
Actually, Beauvoir did not get any traction with the women of the 50s. Nobody gave a shit. It wasn't until the 60s and 70s that the baby boomers feminists latched onto her and based all of their writings basically on her philosophies. So regardless of what they were saying,
women in the 40s and 50s remembered working in the factories and realizing it sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They remembered the Depression and the war.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the 70s, they had the big boom, the decadence, and then they were moving into the opulence of the 80s.
Yeah.
And there was very much a dark side of the you should be free to express your sexuality. There was very much a dark side of that feminism thing. I loathe.
Well, I think
70s
the
feminism.
girls at that age knew it because you can see the sort of the like, yes, this is good, but it shouldn't go all the way. You know what I mean? There was always a consequence. There was always like they had to sacrifice, or there was something that was given in order for that to happen, or whatever it was. But like now, it's just like a free wanton, I want, my cake and eat it too kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's really always been the goal of feminism.
No
remember, consequences.
They were offered women were offered the right to vote way earlier. They were offered it, but they refused it. Do you know why?
The draft and
taxes,
and I believe also the Cry Danger laws as well.
Yeah, well, they wanted the vote, but they didn't want the responsibility.
I thought that certain states, though, did allow for the vote, like Wyoming, because there would be women whose husbands died, but they would still be in charge of the ranches, and they weren't crazy feminists. They literally had to vote about
landowning women.
Yeah, landowning that actually were running hardcore businesses that took a lot out of you, because those women would be out there rustling the cattle with the men. So yeah, I know Wyoming was one of the states that allowed women to vote. But they weren't crazy, like I said. They weren't suffragettes.
But yeah, I mean, there's this war on the way women look. I mean, I want you to I would like women to seriously look at who they're putting in makeup ads now.
Oh yeah. Oh my God! Do not get me started.
They're putting dudes in makeup ads now.
And every other woman looks like they've been hit in the face with a shovel. And trust me, I was hit in the face with a shovel.
Every single commercial or ad I see from Sephora or Urban Decay or any of these other companies, it's a man putting on the makeup, and it makes me not want to buy their product, because number one, it's like, well, you're showing me what your makeup looks like on a man's face. I need to see it on a woman's face, see if I actually want it. And two, it's like, well, you're not catering to me anymore, so why should I buy your product? I'm obviously not your customer base. I mean, a lot of times I see
why does this woman look inbred?
Well, a lot of times I see it's like men with full-blown beards, and they're like, I'm like, what the hell, dude? I do not understand what you were trying to convey here, except weirdness.
And it's nothing new. Men wearing makeup is nothing new.
No, yeah, men have been wearing makeup for centuries.
The royal medieval courts and the royal courts of the 1800s, men wore elaborate makeup.
Mm-hmm.
What do they have in common with today? Excess, depravity, luxury, and privilege with no responsibility.
I was gonna say the French nobility court, Versailles, all the makeup but the debauchery that came out of there too. Good Lord.
The fact that Versailles only has like 5 bathrooms, and in the entire place, so people were squatting in the hallways.
Oh, people were shitting in the gardens too. Those beautiful manicured gardens. You just drop trout, drop a log, go on your merry way.
Fertilizer, man, fertilizer.
You gotta cut it with sand.
Ash work too. Get that nitrogen.
I really got to read your thing, because I've been a big thing about they've been having a war on women. I really have to read it. I got to make time, and it's just it gets me that why can't we have beautiful women? And you ask a game developer, why can't she be good looking? Well, patriarchy.
Yeah.
And I got a really good thing. If patriarchy is all about men and women aren't valued, then why was it that the big tragedy of 1916 was that Janie didn't go to college, not John had to die? The disposable men. If the patriarchy only benefits men, then why does it seem to kill us by the millions?
So that's one thing I'm sick and tired. I'm tired of men being looked at as disposable. Men are not disposable. Women and men need each other, and you don't have to be married or anything like that. I'm just saying, for our society to keep going, men and women need each other. And this whole let's treat men like shit and treat them as disposable, like you said, disgusts me. My husband is not somebody that is disposable. My son is not somebody who is disposable. You guys are not disposable. And it's disgusting that we have taught children today that, oh yeah, men are shit. They're totally disposable. Women are the only thing that matter, but not feminine women, masculine women, because femininity is nasty.
Well, now
My
it's,
mother-
what is it? Gender queer is what matters.
My
Yeah.
mother was a feminist, and she taught us boys that we were disposable.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so thankful my mom wasn't a feminist. Oh my gosh, she reveled in her huge tits.
She taught me and my brothers. Nice. She taught me and my brothers that we were disposable.
Women in the audience, I want all of you to revel in your huge tits if you have them. Seriously.
No, even if you have small ones, revel in your womanhood and revel in your femininity.
Yes.
Here's the thing: they're not supposed to be able to take your femininity from you, but they sure as hell are trying. And you know what? If the U.S. Army didn't take your femininity away in the 70s and 80s, why are you letting these people do it?
Well, here, the way I've been rebelling, since apparently all of us are now counterculture, I got rid of all of my comic book T-shirts and everything because I'm just fucking disgusted with the industry in general. And I buy flower prints now, and I wear them, and I
You know
wear
what?
makeup, and I look girly, and I paint my toenails purple,
Oh,
and
you're-
not I'm talking pastel purple, guys, with
Oh,
like
you're
little
going full
hologram.
Daisy Cousins?
Oh yeah, I'm going full girly girl, you know. And like I said, I wear floral prints. I don't really wear like the comic book T-shirts anymore, any pop culture T-shirts, because to me that's not feminine anymore. That's fucking crazy blue-haired people.
My wife wants two things for her birthday and Christmas and our anniversary and Christmas. She wants a new computer. She wants me to build it myself. That'll be good for 5 or 6 years. And she found an online site that sells handmade, authentic Western 1800s dresses. And I told her, well, if I get you that, I'm getting you a petticoat and bonnet. What did she do? She linked me to the petticoats and bonnets, and she's like, I will totally drive to the store in the winter in a petticoat and a bonnet. I was like, bitch, I'll buy you split crotch underwear. And she's like, okay. I'm like, oh, God damn it, I hate you so much.
You know what? I actually love the fact that my husband buys me cookware. Yeah, I remember how I was like, oh my God, you shouldn't be buying like washing machines or cookware for your women. That's so derogatory. No, I get excited if I get a cast iron skillet.
I bought my wife a cast iron skillet made with iron. It's never left America. It was all iron mined and processed in America. It was laser smoothed. That fucking thing cost me $200. And I thought, I was like, she's gonna give me so much shit for giving this to her. She loves it. She absolutely loves it. She's like, it's a thoughtful gift. And my daughters are like, what? Yeah. And my daughter's like, when you die, who gets it? I'm like,
I mean, doesn't that make it like everybody's life better?
oh, it's so good.
Oh God, cast iron skillets are the greatest thing.
I need more cast iron in my life. I have one, and it's like my pride, but it's fucking huge. I can like make like one of those gigantic German pancakes in it.
Okay, Neostar, you said there are so many goddamn double standards and contradictions in feminist rhetoric.
Yes.
They brought up the vacuum cleaner earlier. That is a great example. Same with the washing machine. In the for years, women were bitching about, oh, housework is there's so much housework to do. It takes up so much of my time. It's so hard to do. So what did men do? They solved the problem. They invented vacuum cleaners and washing machines. By the next decade, feminists were screaming, oh, this is just another ball and chain to keep us in the house.
And like, fuck you, laundry day would take the entire day, if not multiple. You know, the washing machine, like, basically freed you up to be able to get other work done.
It saved the skin on your fingers and your fingernails, too, because you had to scrub a bunch of shit, and your fingers were bleeding by the end of the day.
But see, that's the example, is that the fact that solving the problem didn't make women happy. They just gave them no reason to bitch about something else.
Well, I'm not bitching about having a washing machine. I freaking love it.
When my wife was in the storm, she had to do her laundry by hand because we didn't have washing machines, and she would do her laundry by hand and hang it up, and it was a pissy thing. And that's always the big thing is I've been like, hey, we got a new house and everything. You want me to get? She'd be like, buy me a washer machine. She didn't care if she had to hang the clothes up in the bathroom. The first thing was always, get me a washing machine. I don't care if it jumps around. Get me a washer machine. Because she's done laundry by hand and she hated it.
It sucks. I've had to do laundry by hand. When Steve and I went to England for our honeymoon, we didn't spend money at the laundromat. We literally washed our underclothes in the sink and in the shower of our hotel room. And we sat there scrubbing because we were there for 2 weeks. So we were washing a week's worth of undershirts, socks, underwear. and hanging it up. And yeah, that sucked. But we spent a whole day on our honeymoon washing our clothes by hand.
Laundry day is a full day minimum.
Yeah.
I've used an agitator washing machine that had a wringer. I've also used a tin wash tub and a scrub board. But that wringer, fuck that wringer.
Yeah.
That thing sucked. Because you'd have to drain. Yeah, then you'd have to drain it out, and then you'd have to rinse, and you have to put water in it with the hose to put the rinse water in, and then you have to wring it out again. Oh, that fucking sucked. But yeah, they're right. The vacuum cleaner, they act. Oh God, it's so. My wife once said they were showing an ad for the Roomba when it first came out, and she looked at me and she goes, 2 years, and women are gonna bitch that men are using robots to replace them. It wasn't even 2 years; it was 3 months. Yep. 3 months, and they were talking about how the Roomba was just a way to replace women. It's like it doesn't have a fleshlight mounted on it.
No, the Roomba was a brilliant idea by cats to have a way to travel around the house. It was the cat overlords that made the Roombas.
And
they
God
weren't there to replace
forbid,
women.
God forbid the Roomba hit dog poop.
Oh God! Oh no!
Now it's all over the floor in lines. But
the new ones handle it just fine.
They do.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole thing was, now they're replacing women. And I love this. Women are now bitching about sex bots are becoming more advanced, and they can hold a conversation and remember things. And it's like, first, they're replacing women. It's like, first you say.
Look, if you are being replaced by a machine for holding a conversation, there's a problem with you, not the poor guy who is going to the robot.
And you have to know that this guy is so lonely and has been rejected so many times that he has no choice but to turn to a fucking machine. But no, the problem is him.
Well, have you seen the thing from Japan where I call it the girl in the bell jar? Because it's a hologram of a little girl. She's like a little
anime girl.
It's an anime girl. She's like a foot and a half tall, but she's smart linked to all the stuff in your house. So she can get the microwave going for you if you leave your food in there. She can turn on the lights. She'll send you text messages during the day, just saying, hey, I can't wait for you to come home. And quite frankly, I found it both sweet and incredibly sad. And all these feminists are like, no, this is totally sexist. This is wrong. He's enslaved a small woman in a jar by his bed.
Oh my God. It's literally light and pixels. What the fuck?
Well, they've seen that show. What is it? On Netflix, the Black something where it's
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror. There we go. Where that one where's John Hamm literally
the Christmas episode. Yeah. You find out that's not even the real woman. Yeah.
Okay. Got a question for you. Do you think highly developed companion, because it wouldn't be even sex bots, it'd have to be companion bots, would finally provide enough competition for women to smack them out of this stupidity?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because why would men want to get together with a bitchy harpy when they can just program a robot to do everything, including love them? It doesn't always have to be about sex. It doesn't always have to be about taking care of someone or taking care of the chores around the house. If they can find companionship with someone who will never find fault with them, they're going to go for that instead of an actual biological.
Have you ever seen those Reddit or Twitter posts where they say, this is what men want, and it shows men getting hugged, and there are an outpouring, it's 40,000 messages of guys going, I would love that. That would be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One of the
this whole idea that men just want a wet hole is such bullshit.
When I was in the hospital, I don't know if I mentioned it live, but I was in the hospital from the end of the ground war, which was late February, to June. And this nurse would come in, and she, I was badly injured, so she could only hug my left side, but she'd lean down and hug me. The hospital would have this nurse come in and get everybody who's in the room I was in, which we were fucked. And she'd give us hugs 4 times a day because that's what was healthy. And it got to the point where we look forward to it because, and how bad is it that, how bad is it now that you have guys that are like, oh, I haven't been hugged in 5 years. And it breaks my
Norway
fucking
has
heart.
a program for kids that's for like up to 18 years old where they literally hire other kids to be their friends and they teach them how to be like mini therapists almost. And because what they're really trying to do is like prevent the kid from suicide, the other kid from like suicide or doing some or self-harm in any way. And so because they found that buying people to be friends is cheaper than investing in the mental care later. So, they're trying to be friends with them, but one of the things they teach them is to touch them. They're like, you don't have to, not sexually, just touch them, touch their shoulder, grab their hand, give them a hug, those kind of things.
I can't imagine going for years without another human touching me. And I am not a nice person. I'm really prickly. And I've always had friends that would at least reach out and touch my arm. I mean, when my father died, one of my friends walked in and I stood up, and I went to shake his hand. He gathered me up in a bear hug. Of course, this is the same guy that I was outside and I started, talking about how I was angry at my dad, and I started swinging on him. And he's a big logger. He was 6'8". He was a logger, and he was like, "That's right, that's right. Get it out." And and then he gathered me up in a big bear hug and held on to me while I fought with him. But I can't imagine going through life and not having someone that'll hug you. I can't
go
get
ahead,
it.
RALT'S.
No, I'm just saying I can't get it. Go.
Oh, in Korea, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but in South Korea, they have something called skinship, and boys, they teach them to always be in contact with each other. And people in the West are like, oh God, that looks kind of gay, but no, I mean, the power of touch in the Korean culture is very strong. Like you'll see pictures of boys and they're laying all over each other and you're like, what the fuck? And it's like touch. They're always touching each other because touch is so important. And, people will mock them for that in their culture, but it works. And I mean, really look it up. Look up skinship. It's I know it sounds actually very porn-like, but it's not.
But I can remember it was a few weeks after I came out of the coma that, I would reach over and reach for the guy next to me. It'd be the middle of the night, like, "Hey man, are you up? Hey, are you up?" And he'd be like, "Yeah." Like I'd hold my hand out because I couldn't see out of the left side of my face, and he couldn't see out of the right side. I'm like, "Put your hand out, put your hand out," and we'd hold on to each other for like an hour, just holding on to each other because it hurt and it's dark and we're alone and everything else. And it's like, I can't. I mean. And then I hear about people who their mothers used to refuse them hugs. My wife's mother used to do that to her, and I can't picture it. I mean, I'm very much don't touch me person, but I can't picture looking at a small child and saying, "No, I won't give you a hug," and even though you're my child. I mean, what the fuck? Wow, this got depressing.
Yeah. No, but it all stems from what we've been talking about. I mean, it all fits in. So yeah, it is depressing, but at the same time, I mean, it fits.
I know
it's just reality. I mean, we've been taught all these things, and we are basically, since the longest time, everybody says, oh, like the left says we are accepting of everyone, yet they create the most segregation. They create the most separation. They say, we're ready to love everyone. We should bet, all this other stuff, but they always come up with an excuse or a reason, or 9,000 years ago, your like greatest ancestor did something stupid, and now I hate you.
My mom was a big time feminist, second waver, and I remember she would stop hugging me and my brothers when we were about 7 or 8 because boys didn't need that kind of affection.
See, I actually still hug Chris even when he's like, "Oh mom, you're embarrassing me." It's like, "Yep, but I know you need it." And
they will, yeah. I mean, kids like secretly, you love that. Even like as a later on, as he will do that to somebody that needs it. You know what I mean? Because he'll realize that like that was there. And that's the thing is a lot of times
my sisters were the ones that hugged me. I know that sounds bad, but my sisters love me.
No.
I'm glad that they were there.
Yeah.
My sister chased me with a butcher knife, so
I'd be all fucked up. My sister would be hugging me. Yeah, when I broke my arm, my sister was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I'm like, "It hurts a lot," and she'd give me a hug because I refused to cry. I wouldn't let my mother see my tears.
For all my complaints about my mother and father and like all of their faults, they never denied me hugs or affection. If I came up and I needed a hug, I would get huge bear hugs from my mom and dad. That is one thing I will say about them. They never denied me affection. And like I said, they have a shit ton of faults. I've bitched about it on this show before, but they would never deny me affection. If they saw that I was having a rough go, they would come over, give me a hug, and sit down and talk with me about it. Like, it's just sad that there's parents out there that are like, no, fuck you. I'm not going to give you affection.
No.
I don't care. It really pisses me off, especially as a parent myself. It's like, no, you treating your kid like that is the most awful fucking thing you can do.
I mean, it's what a lot of, psychotherapists
I think I was talking
say now that, you treat your kids like that, you'll never see your grandkids. That's what's going to happen.
I was talking to Ishi, and my granddaughter walked up, was like, "Can I have a hug?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." She's like, "You're playing again." I was like, "Give me a hug." I was talking to Ishi, and she's like, "Do you need to go?" I'm like, "No, she just needs a hug. She just wants a hug. I don't need to go. She wants to sit next to me. She wants to see what I'm doing. She's 6. I mean, she wants a hug, and I can't. And the sad thing is you can really. Well, the funny thing is you really see it push with the commies, and the weird thing is you see this alienating the children and alienating men from women from the left, and it's like, where did the compassionate left go? Where did the accept your children for who you are go? Where did the love your where did this profession of peace and love? Why did the left drop peace and love?
Well, I looked into the hippie movement. It was all a lie. Even back then, they were like this. They were violent. They were segregationists. They were a bunch of liars. This whole thing. Remember the famous speech from Mario Savo where he's going on and on about how you have to throw your bodies on the machine because it's become so odious? You see the incident in which he actually said that speech?
Mm-mm.
And it was basically a bunch of hippies throwing a riot because they wanted a certain piece of land that wasn't theirs to be a park.
Oh, God.
And they were destroying the school and damaging. It was just like Antifa. They were just as fucking bad.
It's like they're saying now that, there was never actually any bombings in the 60s. It's all right conspiracy. Yep, that's the new one. There was no bombings in the 60s.
Oh, my. So Weather Underground never existed. Got it.
No. Well, no, that was a peaceful movement that just wrote letters.
Oh, my God. They even made a movie about it called Born to Run.
That is a right-wing QAnon movie.
You guys know what movie I'm talking about, right? With River Phoenix? Yeah. Brilliant movie, by the way.
And let's see. The Weather Underground now is basically those people that are old farts and they're basically coaching BLM.
And they're in academia.
Yeah. And they were good for the Clinton administration.
I just want to pull my fucking kid out of school.
Tempting, isn't it?
Yes. Well, I mean, I've explained before the reasons why we have him in public school. It has nothing to do with education. My kid has pissed off teachers because he's corrected them in class for them teaching the wrong thing. We had to tell him to calm that down because of repercussions. But yeah, like the reason I have to keep my kid in school, I'm like, it's to the point where I'm like, I really just want to homeschool him, but I don't know how to get the other things that I need for him being in school. And it just
the social development and that kind of thing.
He needs the social development.
Join a homeschooling group. They have outings. They go places together.
That's the thing. There's actually none in our neighborhood.
And that's right.
Really
California's been working to make him illegal.
There's tons.
I know.
California,
it's like every
Oregon,
place else is great.
California, Oregon, and Washington have been working to make homeschooling illegal.
Yes, I know, and it's fucking
and
horrible.
Expensive. They want to make it expensive too.
They also have done a very good job getting charter schools shut down. I know because my son went to one of them. It was one of the best charter schools for kids with autism and children that were ESL. And I mean, we're talking kids who came here not knowing how to speak a lick of English. Were doing pretty damn good by the time they left the school. And San Diego Unified got it shut down.
Why?
In fact, it's so disgustingly so that the neighboring schools for where all of us lived started sending us letters on how to register for schools for San Diego Unified. It was like, you guys fucking disgusting.
I knew a chick that was she was a principal in a high school in California during the pandemic, and she saw a lot of the depravity and stuff that was happening. She didn't realize it was going on. She had kind of like, she was sort of disseminating authority and was sort of like the parents, like just caught completely unaware. And then she saw what was happening, and she tried to fight against it. And the superintendent of that area fired her.
Well, you know, they bring up the Catholic Church, but they never bring up the school. Per capita, you are 12 times more likely to be molested in school than if you go to a church with a pedophile priest.
You guys have heard the stories about Los Angeles Unified School District, right? And how they were shuffling around pedophiles instead of firing them.
Oh, wow.
I do know in I do know in the 80s they were hooking teenage girls out.
There was a teacher that was a pedophile and a sex offender that they kept shopping around to the schools, and this is about to get very disgusting. So, you know, this guy
Marge,
decided
get
to
my
do
gun.
taste tests with his students, and he did blind taste tests, and he'd have cookies, and on some of the cookies he'd put his semen and feed it to the kids. And Los Angeles Unified kept hiding the fact that he was doing stuff like that until the parents finally went nuts, actually paid attention, and got his ass in prison. But yeah, I mean, I don't trust any big public school anymore. Actually, I just don't trust school in general unless it's like a hardcore private school like Catholic.
I mean, my high school was the town that I was in, McClenny, Florida, was like super corrupt. It was literally run by criminals. It was founded by criminals, and the whole time I was there, it was run by like the church, the main churches, the police station, the 3 main judges, and pretty much anybody wealthy in the town were all in the same like marijuana business. Like they literally, like somebody tried to break into it from Jacksonville, and they welded him into his own car shut and set it on fire. And they were like just very, very, but like one of the things that happened is like, if you were a pretty girl and you were out past 10 o'clock, I mean, it was bad for you, because any of those people, if they were out, could do whatever they wanted to you. And you had no recourse at all.
I do know that California was the only state that we lived in, and we lived in a lot of different states, where one of my sisters got molested by a teacher.
Yeah.
I still remember that because my dad was in jail, and my
I've
older
got
brother was.
Too many stories like that to bring up right now.
My older brother was like, "Hey, RALT'S, I'm going to teach you something new. I'm going to teach you something new, little guy. This is brass knuckles." That's where I learned how to use them.
Nice.
And then we just fucked him up, and then the adults found out why, and he vanished. His car was found by the side of the road, and he was never seen again because it turned out he was molesting 5th grade girls.
Jesus.
But my brother, these are brass knuckles, little guy. I brought them back from the Nam. I'm going to show you how to use them.
My dad had a policy when he was teaching for San Diego Unified, and he was also coaching. If he found out that any of his coaches were banging the girls at school, he fired them and turned them into the police. Like, he was one of the few that actually took it seriously, because he's like, if I found out about that and I didn't do anything, I'm on the hook too. And not only that, he had a daughter, and he was thinking, if that was my daughter and nobody did anything about it, I'd be pissed. So yeah, and I heard stories about my dad busting coaches who were banging high school girls.
I still remember those.
It really bothered him.
When I was in high school, the vice principal suddenly divorced his wife and married a junior.
Oh,
and then we found out why. When we realized she was like 6 months pregnant and they'd only been married like 2 months.
I was about to say, it was shotgun wedding kind of thing.
He's another one that just
we've
vanished.
been on for 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
Holy shit.
So we're going to call it a night. Okay, everyone. Now that you have a better understanding of what Boobs of Steel's about, go buy it. Link in the description. And by the way, not that he needs any help, but RALT'S book is linked in the description too.
Really, dude?
No, I wanted a reaction. I knew I'd get a reaction.
RALT'S does not need any help.
But buy my book anyway so I can pay my electric bill.
He's upon his pedestal.
No, you definitely, if you're not reading RALT'S books. By the way, I'll have you know that I filled out the sheet for the Dragon Awards, and I did put your book down as best sci-fi book.
Oh, God, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
I'll get you for this.
Oh, God. What happens if he wins or when he wins?
Wait, I was being nice. You
I
don't
know
like
you
that?
are. I know you are. I know you are.
Oh,
I'm just
wait,
fucking
you
with
don't
you.
like that.
It makes my hand shake, dude.
He doesn't have to go to Atlanta to get the award. If he even gets it.
Yeah.
They have UPS now. They can.
I was going to say, send a proxy.
I'll send you and Kat to go collect it. I'll hide in the closet.
And everyone, if you're not checking it out, follow Buddy Lord because he has an awesome book coming out soon.
You know, I actually for best paranormal supernatural book, I put Williams Vatican Pro Wrestling.
Oh, nice.
Champion Wrestling book.
Nice.
Well, it's about an exorcist. So
Hastings is cool. I like him. I haven't seen him in a while. But I like him.
Same here.
Yeah, we need to do a stream with him again because, Kat and I. You read the Opal Embers, right? We still need to do a review. Okay, we got to do a review of that. That's even better than the Crimson Spark.
William
I
is
haven't
really
read the
quite a
whole
good
thing.
writer.
I read his spec for it.
I love it.
Yeah, he is good. He's a good dude. He's just a good dude too. I like him. I
Yeah.
think he would really like the new book I'm working on too. The way it's gone, but I mean, he left everything social media basically.
Did he?
Yeah, I used to see him on Instagram. I used to see him a little bit on Twitter, but he just sort of like disappeared from all of it.
Hey, I did the same. I did the same thing when I was writing Boobs of Steel.
I was about to say, yeah, I think he went to focus on because he's writing like 2 or 3 things now.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.